Marvel crosses over with Star Wars, and the Avengers invade. This video is purely for entertainment, and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting, and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126 Avengers vs. Sloman 2. Many watched with conflicted feelings as Ant-Man faced off against Slow, only for the battle to eventually get out of hand. Humanity's arrogance lies in thinking that nature is under their control, Captain America muttered. In a strange eerie silence, Peter said calmly, "Let them fight." Others looked at Spider-Man in a weird way, with exclamations ranging from "Are you serious?" to "WTF, shouldn't we try to drive them away?" "Let them fight," Spider-Man repeated. Giant Ant-Man begins exchanging punches with Slow, who fights back. It's a huge battle of epic proportions as two behemoths beyond imagination collide with each other again and again. "The gas bombs will be coming in any moment, Peter," Falcon said. "We need to get these two out of here and back to the Senate building." "Let them fight." War Machine quickly figured out what was going through the youngest Avenger's mind. You just want to see two giants fight, don't you? A Godzilla-style fight? I'm happy, Anakin said. "Let them fight." "Annie, you can't say that." Padme shouted in disbelief. "What? Can you blame me? It's just so cool and shocking." Ant-Man dodged a swing from Slow's fifth arm, wrapped his arms around it, and stepped back, launching a counterattack. "Woo woo." Spider-Man and Anakin cheered, joined by several nearby clones. Looking at Slow's many legs, Spider-Man had an idea. "Guys, I have an idea. We're all listening." "Kit," Falcon yelled, unleashing a barrage of bullets into the beast's head. "We need to tie those legs up," Spider-Man said, getting into action, "and we need to trip it so it falls." "It's a little tricky, but it's a solution," Captain America said. "Okay, Peter, tie up its legs." "Falcon, use your cable to help Spider-Man with this problem." "Rhodes, Scott, attack the beast's head." "Understood." Spider-Man and Falcon flew very low, with Spider-Man swinging over Slow's legs and covering them with silk, which then formed into a long line. "Hey, Quicksilver." Spider-Man called out to Quicksilver and threw the string to him. Quicksilver grinned and quickly flew towards Slow Beast, with Spider-Man providing a constant supply of silk, reinforced by Falcon's cable rope. Slow began to stagger, trying to keep a steady footing. It was using its arms and appendages to stay upright when something powerful hit it hard on the top of its head. It barely had time to react before two massive fists slammed into its face. As Slow Beast fell, Spider-Man cheered. As cheering distracted him from the beast's fifth limb, which struck Spider-Man. "Peter," Ahsoka yelled as she and Barris rushed over to the staggering Spider-Man. The Falcon flew down, for he too saw the child being hit hard by the fifth leg. As they approached, the two GD girls used the Force to cushion the blow and sent Spider-Man flying. However, Spider-Man was thrown too fast and ended up crashing into them. The three teenagers crashed into the building. When they stopped, the three boys groaned. "Thanks for your help, guys," Spider-Man said weakly. "You're welcome," Ahsoka muttered, feeling her head buzzing. Barris began to struggle as she felt something on top of her. "Peter," Barris said. "What happened?" "Mind taking your hands off me." Spider-Man looked up and his eyes widened as he saw that his hands were on a sensitive area on the GD girl's body. He quickly removed his hands and stammered a quick apology. Sorry, it's okay." Barris dusted himself off and held out a hand to him. "Ah, you okay?" Falcon asked as he landed in front of them, and Anakin also ran over. "Yes," Spider-Man said tiredly, taking off his mask. Ant-Man finally hits the button that adjusts his size, and the wasp rushes to him. As soon as Ant-Man becomes smaller, "Scott," she called out in great concern. "Look at me, focus on me." Ant-Man couldn't utter a word. He just gasped to control his rapid heart rate, and after a while, he slowly recovered. The wasp chuckled and hugged Ant-Man into her arms. "I guess we can call it a successful test," Ant-Man said weakly. "Yeah, it would be nice if Dad could be here to see it," said the wasp. The two looked up and saw Captain America with Kenobi and Ala Secura. "Were you hiding your abilities before, Scott?" Captain America asked in a humorous tone. You can definitely use this skill against Ultimo. What? No, no. Ant-Man panted and said tiredly, it was just an experiment just now. I don't know if it will succeed. After saying the last sentence, Ant-Man passed out, and his girlfriend gave him an affectionate smile and a kiss on the forehead. Their attention was drawn to the sound of something scraping against metal and a loud growl. They looked back and saw the slow beast trying to get up. Just then, they saw a large number of gunboats coming straight towards them. Those? Yes, I believe so. Soon, a dozen missiles were launched, heading straight for the beast. Upon impact, large clouds of green vapor surrounded the creature, with some even exploding in its mouth. As the attack continued, it screamed and thrashed around, then began to slow down noticeably. When the green cloud got too close, the Jedi on the scene used the force to push the smoke back, so that others could be kept out of harm's way. Eventually, Slow collapsed in the Senate building. That's not pleasant at all, Peter muttered as the sound of Slow Beast dying echoed throughout the area. Almost reminds me of the ending of Peter Jackson's King Kong. What? Asked the two Jedi apprentices. A movie from our hometown. We didn't have to do that, Windu said with a grunt of frustration and disappointment. The last Slow died right in front of us, Kenobi said grimly. As a Jedi Knight, this was a grave mistake in our duties. The Jedi Master looked at Captain America, then back to Slow, who was standing still. All in all, this was not the ending he had imagined. Chapter 127 Ahsoka is put in solitary confinement. Boom. Cap narrowly dodged several blaster rounds fired in his direction, and flung his shield forward toward a group of super battle droids. After punching through the swarm of robots, the shield returned to its owner in time for him to block several incoming blaster rounds. Overhead, War Machine and Falcon flew over a defensive line of AT-10 all-terrain tactical assault walkers set up by the 501st Regiment and the 212th Attack Battalion to hold back the damn near endless waves of battle droids. On the front lines, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker wielded their lightsabers, deflecting every blaster fired at them. So, this is what you've been doing? Almost. Black Widow stayed behind Cap to provide cover, firing her newly acquired DC-17 blaster with great accuracy. Rex kindly gifted the DC-17 blaster to the Avengers as a thank you for all they've done for the clones and GD since they got here. Black Widow loved it. The 501st Legion and the 212th Attack Battalion were slowly being worn down, and the 4 Avengers and 2 Jedi Knights had to cover many soldiers to avoid losing the hard-earned defense. If we don't get reinforcement or evacuate soon, we are going to be swarmed by robots, War Machine shouted, reaching out with both hands and firing a near-endless stream of bullets from the shoulder-mounted machine guns into his blind spot. Master, Plo Koon and his fleet are on their way, Anakin said. They're working to break the Separatist blockade and get us out of here. Hopefully, we'll still be alive after breaking the blockade, Falcon said, using his wings to cover himself and the soldiers next to him, one of whom was a clown, as they fired at the advancing robots above the atmosphere of the planet Felucia. The Separatist fleet engaged the aforementioned Jedi Master Plo Koon and his fleet and regiment, the newly rebuilt and revitalized 104th Battalion, also known as the Wolf Battalion. Plo Koon led a team of V-19s and large gunships straight towards the Separatist fleet. Warthog, cover the gunboat, Plo Koon ordered. The rest of you keep your distance and focus. Make sure the gunboat passes. With a chorus of yes, sir, from his troops, Plo Koon accelerated forward in his ship, with his squad following closely behind. They immediately encountered CI's starfighters, but they passed through the enemy aircraft with the 140H's cover, with the squadron losing 2 V-19s. Meanwhile, Commander Wolf instructed them to aim for the left flank and take out a damaged Separatist warship. Meanwhile, on the ground, Republic forces were backed into a corner as droids were attacking their positions. The Avengers fought in concert with the clones and Jedi Knights, but the spider droids proved to be more outnumbered by these more durable super robots. Now, War Machine, Falcon, and Cap stepped up as decoys multiple times to help prevent the flank from falling. Anakin and Obi-Wan had to run out of line to clear out some droids, but thankfully, they got some relief with the arrival of Quicksilver. Fighting off several waves, they managed to gain a foothold, but as many robots kept appearing above the blasters flying through the air, Quicksilver was hit several times without realizing it. "Wait a moment, sir, let me bandage your wound," a clone trooper named Kix said, and quickly bandaged Quicksilver's left arm, which had been hit particularly hard. Quicksilver muttered in a mixture of amusement and frustration, "This is the second time I've been shot in this arm. Must be bad luck. Don't let this happen again, Pietro," Cap said beside putting him away his shield, and then shooting down a few B-15s with his DC-1 blaster. "Our backup is here," Black Widow shouted loudly, and some people looked up at a group of vulture robots flying overhead. They were shot down by several V-19s roaring past. "Anakin, any news on Ahsoka?" Obi-Wan asked. "She hasn't responded since her scouts entered the jungle," Anakin said as the gunship began to descend upon their position. Anakin continued to deflect blaster beams while holding up his wrist communicator. "Ahsoka, where are you?" At this point, Ahsoka Tano wields her lightsaber atop a juggernaut tank to help cover the clones on the tank's top turret. Joining her is Team Riptide, which 5 leads along with his 2 other Domino brothers, Burden and Echo. As she continued to fight, her master's voice came through her comlink. "About 6 kilometers east," Ahsoka responded. "We've already engaged the enemy." Below, the clone troopers advanced steadily, shooting down nearly every droid in their sight. "Hold your ground, Ahsoka," Anakin ordered. "Master Plow and his fleet are coming. We need to get out of here." Ahsoka balked at this information. "What? But Master, we've breached their defenses." On Anakin's side, the LART gunship has landed, and the Avengers and Obi-Wan cover the evacuation of the clone troopers. "Get aboard," Captain America yelled, moving around to make sure no clones were left behind. Quicksilver kept bringing the distant clones towards the gunship. "Ahsoka." Obi-Wan contacted her now. "The droid army outnumbers our forces and we are retreating now." "Those are orders, Master Kenobi, please," Ahsoka said, fighting fiercely on her side. "We are about to wipe out these guys. Master Skywalker taught me to never back down from an advantage. They are now regrouping with their main force, and you will become a victim if you don't withdraw in time." "Ahsoka," Captain America interrupted, "you are endangering the lives of your soldiers by your decision now. I want you aboard the gunship when we reach you," Anakin said sternly. "Master, please," Ahsoka pleaded. "I can't just watch the enemy get away." Once all the clones were in the gunship, they took off with everyone in the air. They flew over to where Ahsoka was, and noticed that she was ignoring orders and continuing forward. "Land in front of them," Anakin ordered the pilot. The gunship quickly landed in front of Team Riptide, with the clones on board providing covering fire. Anakin walked out, and looked at Ahsoka angrily. "Come aboard, Ahsoka." "Master, what are you doing? Can't you see they are retreating?" Ahsoka shouted in frustration. "Is that what you think? But they're about to strike back at you, and you just can't see it," Anakin snapped. Ahsoka opened her mouth to retort, but the Apto walker to her right was suddenly blown apart by a droid flying in from behind. She looked back, and just as Anakin had said, she saw another wave of battle droids heading towards her position, with more coming to reinforce the ones she was chasing. "Ahsoka, now!" Anakin shouted. As they flew into the air, Ahsoka saw the droids swarming over them, the remaining 2 vehicles they had left behind being quickly destroyed. She looked back at her master in shame and fear, and Anakin's face was filled with disappointment. Eventually, the Republic forces completely withdrew from Felucia and returned to the Republic capital. After a long journey back to Coruscant, it wasn't long before Ahsoka and her master faced the Jedi Council to review what had happened on Felucia. "Ahsoka," Master Windu said to her, "do you feel that Master Kenobi and Skywalker's version of events is accurate?" Ahsoka looked up in shame and replied, "Yes." Yoda raised his eyebrows and said, "Do you have anything else to add?" "I know I was wrong. I didn't see the battle as a whole. I didn't see the big picture," she explained. "I didn't disobey orders. I just forgot." Anakin took this opportunity to speak up. "Master, this matter is my fault. Because of Ahsoka's extraordinary abilities, I forgot that she was still young and inexperienced. This is my fault." "That may be the case, Mace, but that doesn't begin excuse what happened on Felucia. I don't think she can lead the team in combat anymore." She needs some time to reflect. Chapter 128 Dissension quietly grows. As Ahsoka begins to reflect on her actions, Cap is having a small meeting with the Avengers. "How was your trip to Felucia, Captain?" asked the Wasp. Before Captain America could speak, Falcon spoke first. "It's a mess, and the losses are huge, judging from the battle on Felucia this time. The Galactic Republic has been surpassed." Captain America said bluntly, "It seems that the battle robots have received some upgrades, and we need to restock our ammunition," War Machine said. "Tap, how are the schematics for integrating the explosives technology into our equipment going?" "Comrades, it has been half integrated so far," the Avengers' personal artificial intelligence replied. "Well, that's good news," Falcon muttered to himself. Their conversation paused momentarily when they heard a soft purring sound coming from the side. Wasp immediately made her way over to Ant-Man, who was currently still bedridden after his battle with Slow Beast. "How's Scott?" Captain America asked with concern. "He's much better now, but still needs more time to recover," said the Wasp. "It's been almost 10 days. Falcon said, obviously worried. "Why has it taken so long to recover?" "He's almost 10 days to 15 times the size of his Gigantamax this time, when he first tried Goliath mode with my father. So it's taking him longer to recover," the Wasp said, gently examining her boyfriend. War Machine muttered to himself, "So how is he now?" "He's feeling better now," said the Wasp. "He had a fever for a while, but he should be waking up any minute now." "Well, I'm glad to hear that." Falcon breathed a sigh of relief, a feeling shared by the other Avengers. "I need to rest, too," Quicksilver said, changing the bandage on his injured arm in Felucia. "You are so fast, but you are more seriously injured than all of us. How happened?" War Machine asked expressionlessly. "If Wanda knew, she would definitely say you were reckless and stupid." Black Widow also glanced at Quicksilver and said, "Then again, we have the same idea." "Yes, but Wanda isn't here now," Quicksilver said with a shrug. His shoulders slumped, and his mood a little down, when he mentioned his still missing sister. "Hey, Quicksilver." War Machine saw this and nudged Quicksilver. "We'll find Wanda and Vision. There are 2 other newcomers who came with Parker, Murdoch and Chala," Captain America said. "One thing after another," Falcon said, sitting down and grabbing a glass of water next to him. "I need to catch my breath, especially after the trip to Felucia. It still amazes me that the GD would let a teenager lead their soldiers," Black Widow said. "Why would they let them go into battle so young?" When the GD order was mentioned, Captain America's demeanor changed and became serious. Quicksilver noticed Captain America's gloomy expression. "Captain, are you okay?" Upon hearing this, the others also looked over. "Nothing," he replied. "What's wrong?" asked Black Widow. He glanced at the Avengers before crossing his arms and staring down at the ground, thinking back to a recent conversation he had with a GD master, Teratha. "There is one thing that you all must know," Captain America said slowly, "something I recently learned about the GD order." Cap then recounted everything Teratha had told him, leaving nothing out. From the way the order was structured, to the recruitment of the infants, to the crazy and restrictive rules of the order and the GD code. He made sure to let them know everything. Their reaction was just as Captain America had expected. "So we've been working for a crazy cult? They're basically brainwashing children into mindless machines?" Black Widow asked, anger evident in her eyes. Of all people, Black Widow has a particular disdain for this behavior, which is related to her own experience. Noticing the look on Black Widow's face, Falcon spoke up. "Should we be concerned about Natasha, or no, Sam?" No, Falcon said, "but Natasha, we can't do anything reckless here." No, Black Widow said bitterly, "but this is simply a fantasy." Quicksilver said bluntly, "No attachment? No emotions? What kind of place is this? I thought these people were the good people here." "No one is good now," Falcon muttered to himself. "What should we do, Captain?" asked the Wasp. "To be honest, I don't like this Night Order very much now." Captain America sighed, shook his head, and said, "We can't completely oppose them on this matter, like we are now. No matter what, they'll allow us to live here. So, we should handle this matter carefully." "But, guys," the Wasp argued, knowing that if Scott heard this, This is brainwashing, Captain. Are we really going to turn a blind eye? I wish it was that simple. Captain America admitted. Master Sa can tell you more accurately than I can. Master. That War Machine repeated. The GD with the vine hair, yes, she did. Captain America confirmed. She was the one who explained how the GD order operates. More specifically, how it has been for the past 1,000 years. Even though the GD code has been around for thousands of years, it apparently wasn't always as strict as it is now. She said that everything changed during the Battle of Ruuzan, which led to some kind of reformation of the order. But she didn't agree with the code that the GD order upholds, and she didn't follow it. What? Several Avengers shouted in surprise. She told me that she had a relationship with another GD master. Captain America still felt incredible and said in confusion, a GD knight I met was named Thorm. He was one of Ayla's masters and helped her with GD training. Teresa himself admitted that the GD order is now stagnant and hopes to change it, so that means they are not all mindless slaves of this organization? Falcon asked softly. Yeah, not all of them, Captain America said. Boom, the Avengers stopped their conversation and looked at each other. Do we have any guests today? Quicksilver asked jokingly. Steve Obi-Wan's voice came from outside the door. Can I talk to you? The Avengers didn't know what to do, but Cap walked up to the door and opened it for the GD Master, Kenobi. Captain America said with a smile. What's the matter? I need your help with something, Kenobi said. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129, The Stealer. Sitting in the GD library, Spider-Man was studying for more information on the entire galaxy. From what he was told, the library he was currently in had more accumulated knowledge than anywhere else in the galaxy. Spider-Man even learns from Obi-Wan and that weird mask respirator GD Knight Plo-Koon that there are texts somewhere in the library that are forbidden to read. Then again, the library holds a lot of secrets that could be dangerous in the wrong hands. So you're leaving soon? Spider-Man asked Beerus, who was sitting next to him. Yes, Master Luminara and I have been sent to the Outer Rim once again. Master Plo-Koon will accompany us to our next destination. Where are you going? Not sure yet. Master Luminara will let me know when the time is right. Anyway, good luck to you. Thank you. Spider-Man smiled as he heard soft footsteps on the carpeted floor of the library. He looked back to see Ahsoka walking with Jocasta Nu, the ultimate librarian. Hey, Ahsoka, Spider-Man called out to her. You back so soon? Hey, Peter, Ahsoka greeted. Hey, Barris. I have work to do here. Spider-Man tilted his head, confused. In the library? To study? Ah, yes, I heard what happened to Felucia. It seems her punishment was obvious, Beerus said. Punishment? Spider-Man asked confusedly. What punishment? What mistake did you make? Ahsoka flinched at the question. I disobeyed orders and endangered the lives of my men. Ahsoka, you should know better, Beerus said in a disapproving tone. You know they follow and trust you. I know, Ahsoka said shamefacedly. I acted like an idiot in that moment, so I must face the consequences. You were punished, right? What was it? Spider-Man asked. Responsible for the security of archives. You mean the library guard? If you think so, you're right, Ahsoka said. So, what are you doing now, Ahsoka? Now, just help Lady Jocasta with whatever needs to be done. Since nothing happens to be going on, that's basically what I'm doing. So you're her secretary? Spider-Man joked. Don't talk nonsense, Parker, Ahsoka muttered, and Jocasta, who had remained silent, laughed happily. Is this such a bad punishment, GD girl? Jocasta said in a kind tone. Ahsoka sighed, chiding herself. At least Jocasta was entertaining. No, it's not, Ahsoka said with a small smile. The sound of a call from Beerus's calm caught their attention. Master Luminara is calling for me, Beerus said, rising from his seat. I must go now, Barris. rose from his seat, and bowed to Jocasta. Jocasta nodded, looked at the bored Ahsoka and said calmly, "Ahsoka, send your friend out of the library, and come back later." "Thank you ma'am," Ahsoka said happily. "I'll come with you," Spider-Man said. The three of them headed for the library's exit, and Ahsoka told them what had happened to Felucia. "Hey, Ahsoka, even I know that. You can't be that reckless on the battlefield." Spider-Man said, "I know, Ahsoka said helplessly. "It seems you have more of Master Skywalker in you than I originally thought." "What does it mean?" Barris said nothing, only gave a teasing smile as he walked away. "Oh, don't listen to her, Ahsoka," Spider-Man said soothingly. "If you think about it, it doesn't seem so bad." "Oh, what do you mean?" Spider-Man opened his mouth and thought for a long time about how to comfort Ahsoka, but he didn't know how to comfort her. Looking at Ahsoka's hopeful eyes, the young superhero held back for a long time. "Well, the job you are doing now is very safe." The expression on Ahsoka's face changed from hope to anger, and Barris covered his mouth and couldn't stop laughing. Cad Bane sat in his humble abode, fiddling with his butler robot, Todo 360. Todo 360 said, "If you could tell me what you're doing, I might be able to help." The Duro bounty hunter just sighed. "Look, I'm just doing some maintenance. Your memory system is down." It was a lie, but he didn't need to tell Todo 360 that. Cade bought a batch of parts for Todo 360, which had just arrived. He was so generous, because he had recently received a task and a large deposit. The mission is to steal a holocron from the GD Temple. Not only is this considered impossible, but deadly. Fortunately for the bounty hunter, his client has made the task a little easier. In addition to his negotiated pay, Bane also received a Corsair class fighter with elite weaponry, cloaking devices, and more. Of course, his client, a dark Sith Lord, wants him to do the job right. "This is ridiculous," Todo exclaimed. "I don't remember any accidents happening to me." It wasn't long before the butler robot gasped, "Oh my god. Bane, you have to help me." "Calm down." After closing the hatch to behind the robot, Bane up from his seat. "It's alright now." "Oh, thank you." The door to his safe house bust, and Bane ordered his droids to open it. When he opened the door, Todo saw a female bounty hunter. "Who are you?" "I am Todo 360, the housekeeping robot." "Who are you?" "None of your business." Crossing to Dodo, the woman entered Bane's safe house. "What's going on, Bane?" said the bounty hunter who came in. "You told me you had a job for me." "Yes, Kato." The recognized Keto Piracity walked up to the Duro male and saw a man on the computer screen. "Who is that?" "Bora Ropper, GD Knight, stationed in the mid-rim. We're going to kill him soon. But for now, our mission is to steal a holographic dragon." "That's impossible. The only place you can buy a holographic dragon these days is on the black market, or the GD Temple." "Yes, I know. The Sith Lord's client requested a special holocron be stolen from their holographic vault. Fortunately, he provided us with some help." Soon, Bane projected the layout of the GD Temple. "First, what you are looking at now is the layout of the GD Temple, and the other one, which I placed in the security chip in my droid." Todo 360 walked up to them and said in a happy tone, "I have obtained all the technical data on the GD Temple's security system. The ventilation shafts and the vault itself is equipped with various traps and security measures." Bane explained, "Todo can break it, but we need to work together from the inside and outside." "What do you mean?" "Two things." Bane turned in his seat and pointed at the body of a skeleton man lying on the other side of the room. "Using your disguise skills, you transform into him and sneak into the library, and we work together from the inside." Kato looked at the body and noticed something interesting. "Looks like a GD. His name is Odenisms, and he's a GD Knight. Our client has helped us create a fake identity." Bane returned to his console and typed in more information. "You should be able to walk into the archives without any problems." Kato walked over to Odd's body and stroked the dead body with her hands. After trying to focus, Kato's figure changed into the skeleton man in front of her. "Now I'm a GD," Kato began before adjusting his voice. "I can do this." "Good. You lines need these." Bane tossed something to her, and she caught it. It turned out to be a cochlear communicator placing the device in his ear. Kato thought for a moment. If I remember correctly, the vault is in the library, which backs onto the communications center. There will be groups of GD nearby, yes. And we are going to use that to our advantage. Even if you got into the vault, how did you crack the safe? Kato realized something. Wait, you said two things. The body was the first, but what was the second? Bane stared at the disguised Kato and laughed. Don't worry about that. He just helped provide the body. You will know later. Chapter 130, openly repairing the plank road and secretly visiting Chenkang. Jocasta New walks with Ahsoka Tano and Spider-Man, telling them the importance of the GD archives, how far back it goes, and how much knowledge it holds. It is the GD's duty to keep this knowledge safe, Jocasta said, and then pointed to another one, even more so than that thing over there. Spider-Man looked in that direction and saw a peculiar looking dome on the other side of the room. On the other side of that door is a holodome. Jocasta informed the two, each holodome holds a wealth of valuable knowledge passed down from the GD Knights. As she spoke, one of the green, water-themed GD Knights that Spider-Man had seen around the temple walked over with a holographic dragon in his hands. He gave the three an easygoing smile as he walked over to the control panel at the entrance to the vault. Good morning, Master Festus. Good morning, Lady Jocasta, Fisto said in a cheerful tone. Ahsoka, I hope you take your duties seriously. Yes, Master Fisto, Ahsoka assured. You must be Mr. Parker. Yes. Hello, Master Fisto. I hope you can be happy here, Festus said with a smile, turned around, opened the safe and walked in. As Festus entered, Jocasta turned and left the area. Can we go in? Ahsoka asked as the vault door closed. Oh, I'm afraid not, Jocasta said. Only a high-ranking member of the council or order could do such a thing. You're the head of the archives department, and you can't do it? Ahsoka asked. Even with my permission, I'm not allowed in there, unless I need to, Jocasta said. Some knowledge is better not to be mastered before one's ability reaches it, so as not to incur greater danger. Makes sense. Come on. There's nothing to see, Jocasta said before looking at the Earthling. You don't have to come with you, Mr. Parker. Well, I'm just sitting around doing nothing. Spider-Man shrugged. Jocasta simply nodded, and the two teenagers followed her. Elsewhere in the temple, Anakin, Arla, Yoda, Windu, and Plo Koon stood in the temple's meeting room. Obi-Wan, like several other members of the GD Council, had left earlier to go on a mission. With our set back in Felucia, we are going to need to do a lot of reorganization of our forces, Plo said, looking at a map of the area they had just evacuated. It's going to take some time to regain our footing, Yoda groaned loudly, gripping his staff tightly. Master Yoda? Arla asked. What's wrong? Disturbance of the Force, Yoda said uneasily. Those who bring ill will, interlopers, will be within the temple. Intruders? Anakin muttered. Then we must keep the temple on alert, said Kunpoint. The GD in the room nodded and quickly left Point separated from the others. Anakin and Plo Koon walked through the corridor with their hands hovering over their lightsabers. Where do we begin looking for these invaders? I'm not sure, Plo admitted. We have to trust that the Force will guide us. Highly doubt they're after starfighters, Anakin said. Whatever they are getting here, it must be something they can't get anywhere else, or I don't think anyone would risk entering the temple. It's most likely information, Plo Koon said simply. GD. Transmitter code, Anakin surmised. Every piece of troop information is in one place, Plo added. Information that can be found in the East Tower. I'll be there now, Anakin said. I'll stay in touch from the Central Communications Center, said Pro. If anything seems amiss, be sure to notify the committee. Nodding, both GD ran to their respective positions point at the same time. Wandering through the library, Ahsoka looked bored as she made her rounds, yet she had to put on a cheerful front to greet every GD member that passed by and ask for the stock phrases that she quickly grew tired of. Good afternoon, Master Innocence. Master Burke, may I help you? Innocence looked away and saw and nodded at the young GD Padawan. That won't be necessary, Tanner, the weak-way GD replied. Neither of us would want to disturb you. I don't mind at all. I don't have anything to do right now. I can do something for you. Of course, but we are both busy elsewhere. Sorry, Ahsoka muttered to herself, walking away from the 2GD. I can't get anything done today. Hey, Ahsoka, Peter, what are you doing? Where have you been? Ahsoka asked, noticing a spider web hanging in front of her. Just thought you'd have something to eat, Spider-Man said, holding up 2 boxes containing some cooked porgs. Ahsoka blinked, then smiled brightly. The two went to find a place to eat. Jocasta looked at the other two. She didn't pay much attention to the weak-way GD, but another GD caught her attention. Meanwhile, Cad Bane and Todo 360 flew to the western part of the GD temple. Cato, we are in position, Cade said over their comms. At the other end, following Bork's instructions, the disguised changeling stood at one of the terminals and entered the necessary code to bypass the archive security net. I'm coming in, Cato said. Let's take a look. Todo looked at the laser shield. The entrance should be here. Okay, let's go in. You're welcome, Todo said casually. Point over at the temple communications center. Pro was watching the surveillance footage. What is that? Khan asked the robot assistant next to him. This is a system repair, sir, the robot informed. As he spoke, the communication between Anakin, Arla, and Windu came through. Master Plo, I'm in the tower, Anakin said. There are no intruders here, but something just happened. I'm on the north side of the temple. Same here, Ella said. All the monitors were acting strangely just now, Anakin pointed out. The same thing happened here, Plo said seriously. It's no coincidence. Yoda also came to the communication center. Here we are. The invaders are coming. They are not in the tower, Ella mused. If not there, what are they looking for? Communications center, maybe. Their target, HMM. They might be coming in through the central ventilation system, Anakin said. I'll take a look now. Pro typed into the system. There is indeed a gap at the top of the south tower, Plo said. Let's go over there, Windu said. Master Plo, pay attention to other places. Good luck, my friends, Plo said as they disconnected. Notify the temple and put it on high alert, Yoda ordered. Point at the vent. Bane and his robots made their way down the shaft and soon came across a large ventilation fan that they slowly hovered above. The fan control panel should be to your left. Todo discovered the controls and they quickly deactivated them to move on. Watch out, there's another set of fans. Todo, turn it off. Can't do it. I don't see the control panel, Todo shouted, pushing his thrusters to the limit to get rid of the spinning fans. Luckily for them, Cato came to their aid and quickly shut the fan down. You can thank me later, Cato said. Now it should be easy. Just follow the shaft down until you reach. Sorry. The voice startled Cato out of her concentration. She stood up and saw the librarian speaking to her. Second, didn't mean to bother you, but the entire temple is on high alert. Thanks. Suddenly, Jocasta noticed a punch hitting her in the face. Point as she is knocked out. The disguised Keto grabs her and drags her away to hide the old woman from detection. After doing this, Keto disguises himself as Jocasta again and goes back to work. Point at this moment, in the cell below the temple, Amilaluka man was meditating, his eyes closed, his white hair fluttering around his head. Feeling someone approaching his cell, he spoke up. It seems like after all this time, someone finally came to see me. Sora, are you here to say hello to me, or just to teach me a lesson? Master Weequay stands in front of the cell where imprisoned GD Master Prezet Tibbs is held. Why would I do this, Prezet? Bork asked. I'm here for something more important. What could that be? Sora grinned sinisterly. You are imprisoned here unjustly, my old friend. It is unfair that you are imprisoned for openly expressing your disgust at the way the GD are conducted. Prezet turned around and looked at Sora in confusion. I'll give you a chance, my friend. Bulko deactivated the ray shield that was holding Prezet in the cell. Point Bork held out his hand, and Prezet looked at him in silence. Point all along. Chapter 131 Holographic Heist. Traveling through the shaft system, Master Skywalker surveyed where the intruders were going. Joined by Arla, he found where they had started to enter, and continued from there. Figuring out where the intruders were going was a little tricky, but the Jedi trusted that the Force would lead them in the right direction. All the while, Cad Bane and Todo were trying to get into the Holodragon vault, with most of the security systems already disabled by Cad Bane. They just had to get past the last security laser screen. Ahsoka was enjoying her lunch break with Spider-Man when Ahsoka's wristcom went off. "What's up?" Ahsoka asked. "Ahsoka, you must be alert," Yoda warned on the other end, feeling deceived. "I do. Disguised as a Jedi, the intruder is. Find Master Jocasta, you must." As the transmission ends, Ahsoka and Spider-Man quickly return to the library to find Jocasta. It doesn't take long for them to get back with the help of Spider-Man's webs, and when they get to Jocasta, they hear some strange noises coming from the librarian, Bane. The two Jedi have turned around and are heading towards you. The two boys looked at each other and noticed something unusual. Ahsoka quickly ran up to Jocasta and spoke. "Who are you, and what did you do to Lady Jocasta?" The woman in front of them quickly stood up, and Kato ignited her stolen lightsaber and swung the weapon at Ahsoka, who also ignited her own lightsaber to block the attack. With Kato's attack blocked, she quickly swung her lightsaber at the teenager next to the girl. Whoa. Spider-Man jumped back and looked down at the lightsaber swinging towards him. This leaves Spider-Man with a chance to strike back, firing webs and snatching the lightsaber from the shapeshifter. With Ahsoka's strong push, Spider-Man quickly tied up the shapeshifter with his webs. "You can turn into Jocasta, but you don't have her skills. Now, miss, can you tell us what happened today?" Spider-Man said to the bounty hunter after some questioning. "They got the information they needed. We'd better report this." Ahsoka nodded and opened a channel back to Master Yoda, who quickly relayed the message to Anakin and Ayla. "Master, Peter and I have captured an intruder disguised as Lady Jocasta. She said the intruder is looking for the Holodragon vault." "Holodragon vault?" Ayla repeated. She was already approaching the vault, wondering, these can't be opened without a Jedi. What are they looking for? Anakin thought for a moment. Must be trying to get into the communications center from the vault. Maybe. Cad Bane was now trying to get through the security door into the vault, but it was taking too long. Unfortunately for the Dowlow bounty hunter, he was no longer receiving messages from his disguised partner. Either the communications were jammed, or she had been captured. "Todo, is the hole open?" "Yes, but to the communications center." "What? You heard me, but that place is full of GD, Bane. Why would I go in there now?" Bane cried in annoyance. Okay. Todo pushed open the metal hole he made and walked towards his new destination point. Cade grinned, placed a device on the holographic vault security door, and retreated to a safe distance. Getting closer, Anakin and Ayla soon felt a rumbling coming from the ventilation shaft, like an explosion. Fearing the worst, they quickened their pace. Coming to the source, they saw a large hole not far from where they had landed. "Come on, Skywalker, communications center," Ayla said, and Anakin followed her silently. Neither of them noticed the intruder's presence. Bane saw two GD fall into the hole his droid was in. He was pleased to see that neither noticed the object on the vault door. Soon, Bane entered the vault and saw many sparkling blue lights in the enclosed space. He chuckled to himself before grabbing a Holodragon and disappearing. Todo arrived at the temple communications center and saw many GD knights, all of whom were looking directly at him. "Hi everyone," he said awkwardly. Second was just testing the access hatch. He picked one up and looked at it pretentiously, then put it back. "It works great." Suddenly, there was a sharp beeping sound from behind him. "Bomb!" Master Windu shouted. "A bomb?" What? Todo didn't have time to ask any more questions as he was forced into the ventilation shaft, where Ayla and Anakin were. "Bomb!" Anakin yelled, and he and Ayla ran back for cover. Todo yelled in vain, then ended his life in an explosive manner. The GD Council meets in the library, where Spider-Man and Ahsoka await their arrival with the captive Kato. Along the way, the two saw Lady Jocasta groggily walking towards one of the tables. "Hey, you okay?" Spider-Man asked. "It's okay," the old woman said. "It just takes time to heal." Ahsoka. Yoda's old voice caught their attention. He arrived here with another GD Knight. "Ah. You alright, Lady Jocasta?" Kitto Festus asked. "I'm okay, over." All of them. Yoda waved his hand, and the door to the holographic dragon vault opened. Walking in, Yoda looked up with a hint of fear. It seems that our strategic plan is not the target of the invaders, Yoda said, facing an empty holo dragon tank in the vault. They stole a holographic dragon? Isla said incredulously. What's their purpose in stealing a holographic dragon? Knowing his fate, Keto spoke up and said a name, Bora Ropal. What did you just say? Windu asked sharply. Bora. Ropper. This was Bane's next target. Bora. Ropal, murmured Pyro. Who is Ropper? Anakin asked. He is a guardian of the Kyber crystal, which contains very sensitive data. What's on the crystal? Ahsoka asked. A list of every known force-sensitive child in the galaxy, Windu said in a serious tone. The future of the Jedi Order. We must tell Bala Ropal, said Ira. Grandmaster. The Jedi turned to see a Jedi Padawan running towards them with a panicked look on his face. Jace, what's wrong? Pro asked. Masters, when I was cleaning the cells with Master, I found one cell empty. Jace said in horror. The one that holds Master Preset dibs. Mace narrowed his eyes. There's no point in releasing Master Preset. He knows nothing about Holodragons. There is much to be done. We still have. Yoda interrupted. Skywalker, go. You must go. Find the Jedi Lopper in the Diverant system. You will, Ahsoka. And I will be there immediately. Anakin said. I'll go too. Paper Spider-Man said firmly, surprising the Jedi Knights present. Peter. Ahsoka said. You don't have to do that, Puck. Anakin said. This is a Jedi thing. I know, but I'm here now, and I could have done more. Spider-Man said, you've been keeping me and the other Avengers here without asking for much, so let this be my way of helping you. Go with them, as you please, Yoda said, staring at the young fledgling hero. It will take a lot of help, Skywalker. Young Parker, help you with this mission. He can. Anakin looked at Spider-Man for a moment and simply nodded, and the three of them quickly walked out of the library. There was an uneasy feeling in the air of the library, and no one noticed Master Bulk escorting a cloaked figure outside the Jedi temple. Walking down the steps, Jedi Master Weequay saw a figure flying away from the Jedi temple. It looks like both of our missions were successful, Sora thought as he shifted his gaze from Bane's figure to Preset beside him. He got the Holotragon, and I found my friend. Everything went as planned. Chapter 132, The Clone Fanboy of the Avengers. Cad Bane is a man of principle. Whenever he is commissioned to do a job, he completes it to the letter, because despite his twisted morals, he is a very reputable bounty hunter. But this twisted morality did not hinder his wisdom. In addition to being one of the most deadly and effective bounty hunters in the galaxy, Bane is also one of the smartest. So when he said he was going to capture Jedi Master Bora Ropper, he made it clear to his Sith Lord client that, if he was going to capture this target, it would not be done alone. Thankfully, the Sith Lord seemed very understanding, and provided him with a fairly large fleet to attack the planet of Deveron. 6 cruisers were sent to help him complete this mission, which gave him considerable confidence. But while the droid fleet provided a fair amount of extra firepower, the mission wasn't going to be easy. Now, he needed to storm the base and capture the Jedi. The attack was swift and precise, and it wasn't long before Bane had captured Jedi Master Lopper and swiftly dragged his ragged form aboard the shuttle back to the Separatist capital ship. After returning to his new ship, it wasn't long before a Republic Venator-class Star Destroyer appeared in hyperspace and immediately engaged the droid fleet. They're quicker than I thought, Bane mused. Arriving aboard the Venator-class ship facing Bane's makeshift fleet, Anakin Skywalker stood on the bridge as his flagship, the Resolute, engaged the enemy point. Anakin received word from the soldiers stationed on Deveron that there were at least 8 Separatist ships above the planet. However, Anakin was confident that he was fully capable of dealing with all of these ships, as none of them were led by a Separatist leader this time. Cad Bane was just a bounty hunter, which meant that these ships were just a means to an end. But that doesn't mean Anakin takes it lightly. On the right wing, 2 more Hunter-class Star Destroyers emerged from hyperspace and joined the battle. Good timing, Master Luminara, Anakin said through the HoloLink. Well, that should be in line with your expectations, Luminara said in a slight tone. Thank you very much, Anakin said. You know me so well, General. Skywalker, Anakin, turned to Admiral Yularen, who stood nearby with Captain Rex. Admiral, an urgent message from Deveron. Anakin walked over and saw a holographic transmission of a clone trooper. General Skywalker, the clone trooper said in a frantic tone, we hold the base, but it won't last long. The droids are swarming us, and they have captured Master Hopper. Do you know where he was taken? Anakin asked. I don't know, General, the clone trooper said, beating a B-1 droid to death with his blaster. All I know is that he wasn't taken by the Separatists. He looked like a bounty hunter. Bounty hunter? Describe his appearance, just the key points. A Duro man, with a brown coat and a strange round hat. Cade Bane, Anakin deduced. What was he doing all this for? So he was the one who stole the Holotrogon. The question was, why? Hold on. Reinforcement are on the way. He looked back at the Miriel and GD who was still connected. Master Luminara, we have already begun sending support to Deveron. Skywalker, Luminara assured. That's good to hear, Anakin said. Admiral, let's get started on those cruisers. Bora Hopper is aboard one of them, and we need to get him out of there. Yularen simply nodded and began issuing orders, telling the clones to continue with their assigned tasks. Rex, General, where's Ahsoka? Ahsoka was currently watching Spider-Man swinging around the Resolute's hangar bay with a mixture of delight and awe. Oh my god. Look at all those spaceships. I gotta fly one. The New York native was putting on a show for the soldiers of the 501st, who all looked up and chatted excitedly as Spider-Man swung gracefully and effortless. There were two more faces down there, and Ahsoka had no idea why they were willing to come for this mission, but was grateful for their help regardless. How long has he been doing this? Heavy asked in slight surprise, wondering how Spider-Man had landed on the LART gunship and then jumped onto the Y-wing. War Machine is checking his equipment and preparing for battle. He's a lot like Stark, War Machine mused, a friendly smile on his face, although much more humble than Stark. Looks like fun, grinned a clone trooper at a special swing set among the hangar infrastructure. You'll find this quite amusing, shrew, said another clone trooper, who stood out with the insignia of the Grand Army of the Republic tattooed on his face and helmet, rolling his eyes. Yes, Jess, it's really fun to fly around like this. A gleam appeared in the owner's eyes. The battlefield is busy enough, said Echo. War Machine agreed, looking up at Spider-Man, who was hanging upside down, to inspect V-19 glancing at the Domino Squad. War Machine didn't notice the strange pattern on their shoulder armor. Hey, Fives. War Machine spoke up, getting the clones' attention. What's with those symbols on your shoulders? They look a bit like Cap's shield and the emblem on Sam's wings. Oh, look. Five rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. This is something that is spread among the clone corps and battalions. The heavy burden took the initiative to explain. Since you Avengers have been helping the Republic all over the galaxy, some clones will express their gratitude in their own way. Off to the side, Ahsoka overhears this and looks towards Team Domino. Is that so? Ahsoka began. I've seen the same pattern on other soldiers. Yes, each one represents one of the Avengers we fought alongside. Five said, moving his shoulder forward. This one is obviously Captain Rogers. Five pointed at the star, which was obviously the star on Cap's shield. These wings are Lieutenant Wilson. The turret is Colonel Rhodes, and these lightning bolts are Mr. Maximoff. This hourglass, that's Ms. Romanoff's symbol, right? I saw it on her belt. Yes, that's hers. Quicksilver confirmed. And those antennae and insect wings must be Scott and Hope, War Machine added, and Five and Pickup nodded. How many clones have these marks? Spider-Man asked curiously. Those who have been saved by the Avengers over the past few months, as well as those who have fought directly alongside the Avengers, Stranger Things elaborated. So, the more you clones fight Avengers, the more emblems you get? War Machine surmised. Pretty much, yeah, Heavy said with a shrug. It's cool though, right? I won't comment for now, War Machine said with a slight smile. Their conversation ended as Spider-Man landed in front of them, grinning maniacally. This is really awesome. It's like a dream come true, Spider-Man said loudly and excitedly, causing Ahsoka and several other clones to smile at the boy. Chapter 133 Excellent Bounty Hunter, Bane. You'll have to save that enthusiasm for later, kid. Everyone turned to see Anakin, Rex, and Yularen approaching the gathered crowd. What do you mean, Sky Guy? Quicksilver asked, causing several of the clones to stifle snickers. Okay, we are going to board a Separatist frigate, rescue Master Opper, and recover a Holodragon. Anakin stated the mission. Seems easy enough. War Machine shrugged. There is one small problem, however, Yularen said, looking at Skywalker. We have no way of boarding the Separatist ship. I'm fully aware of that, Admiral, Anakin said eloquently. So what's the plan? Ahsoka asked, glancing at her master. Anakin looked around the hangar before his eyes landed on their transport point. He smiled a roguish smile and turned to Yularen. With a plan in mind, Admiral, please activate those all-terrain tactical assault walkers, Anakin said, pointing to the 3 ATs stationed at the far end of the hangar. However, Yularen hesitated in disbelief. You are not going to use them to ferry soldiers to that frigate? Ahsoka exclaimed. Well, they're pressurized. And they come with magnetic feet, Rex added. Master, you are truly a genius, Ahsoka praised. These walkers are designed for land warfare, not space warfare, Yularen argued, still disagreeing with the idea. Wait, what happened? Spider-Man asked the clone and the 2 Avengers. Well, since you want to help, here's your first chance, War Machine said, placing a hand on the boy's shoulder. Is your suit pressurized? Oh, Spider-Man looked down at his spider suit and patted himself down. I think so. Maybe, I don't know. War Machine stared up at the ceiling, then looked at Spider-Man after a moment. Do you have an air mask I can use? I hope you're ready for this, baby. Quicksilver patted Spider-Man on the shoulder and said with his helmet under his arm. Stay sharp and watch out for those demomen, War Machine said. Okay, Spider-Man whispered, as a thought occurred to him. Wait, you guys aren't going to help me? War Machine and Quicksilver looked at each other, and the latter shrugged. War Machine said, look, Peter, I'm going to be quick and frank with you. You're a 15-year-old kid charging into a fight you had no training for. Then again, how many people are trained in these situations? You're an Avenger now. If Tony recruited you, it's for a good reason. Besides, you don't look like the type to sit around and watch while others do the work. That's not what the Avengers are about, and you volunteered. So, are you ready? Spider-Man stared at the Air Force colonel, then nodded firmly and quickly put on his mask. Let's get started. As Republic forces and their allies assembled to assault the captured Separatist cruiser Bane, Duro bounty hunters were interrogating GD Master Bora Ropper. But how do we get on that frigate? Spider-Man pointed out. Simply put, we'll be thrown into the vacuum of space within the locomotion machine, and then enter by other means, War Machine speculated. It's not the craziest thing we've ever done, the clone known as 5 said with a shrug. Trust your instincts, Peter, War Machine said, patting the boy on the back. You chose to be a hero before Tony met you, right? Follow your instincts. Spider-Man simply nodded, mumbling silently to himself as the Venator-class Star Destroyer flew above the Separatist cruiser. As everyone was inside the walker, the Star Destroyer hatch opened, and they were thrown onto the Separatist ship below them. AT-TE floated down, with Anakin and Ahsoka hanging onto their walkers, while War Machine flew down and shot down the 2 fleeing droids. They quickly moved forward as the magnetic feet attached to the Separatist hull. The Vulture robots were immediately deployed and opened fire on their opponents. The GD soon emerged from their walkers, igniting their lightsabers. They swung their lightsabers and tried to knock the blaster fire away from them. Meanwhile, Cad Bane has returned to the bridge after receiving a distress message from the droid cruiser. What's going on? Bane muttered loudly. Sir, this is Newt Gunray calling, a yellow robot said, holding up an answering machine. He wants to talk to you. Connect. An angry Newt Gunray greets the Duro bounty hunter. Asshole. Gunray yelled. What do you mean? When Darth Sidious contacted me to loan you the Separatist fleet, I had no idea it was for war. You've already lost most of my ships, and only have 3 left. Your information is a bit delayed. Now there is only 1 ship. Bane said casually. The other 2 have been destroyed by another Republic fleet. Gunray gnashed his teeth and said, you will pay for all this, Bane. pulled out a blue cube with gold designs on it, a genuine GD holodragon, as promised, and translation crystals. When my employer gets his hands on this, he will compensate you for your paltry fleet. Just then, the ship shuddered violently, causing Cade to grin. It looks like the GD wants it back. Outside the ship, Anakin, Ahsoka, the clone troopers, and War Machine battle the oncoming Vulture droids. Anakin and Ahsoka both hacked a part of Vulture droid, while War Machine flew straight at one at full speed and twisted its head right off. Bane was now watching the attack with an analytical expression. Republic troops are overwhelming our Vulture droids. Should we send in reinforcement? Bane shook his head. No, Bane. What are you doing? Gunray said angrily. The GD will be aboard this ship soon. Bring back the Hollow Dragon and the mission will be accomplished. Gunray said angrily. Bane said with a hint of annoyance. This holographic dragon can only be opened by a GD, and the GD I caught is dead. Fortunately, here come two more. Bane stared at Ahsoka and Anakin, who were outside fighting the Vulture droids. You'd better come back alive. I want you to compensate me for my losses, Bane. You will certainly get what you want. The bounty hunter then turned to the droid and made his demands. Destroy the frigate's memory banks. Destroy every record of our mission. Initiate the self-destruct sequence. The rest of you, stay here and guard the bridge. Bane glanced at the companion he had recruited for the mission, who was staring at a live feed of the GD and their other allies battling the droids. You'll have your chance, Bane said. Stick to the plan, and they'll all be yours. The big barbarian laughed grimly. Chapter 134, CDG again. Republic forces have completed their mop-up of the Separatist resistance and reached an entry hatch. R2 Anakin called to his trusted astromech droid, which instantly flew toward him. The droid connected itself to the cruiser controls and opened the hatch to let the others in point. Meanwhile, Cade left the bridge with his partner. Why are we defending the bridge from the GD? A droid asked. Because he told us to do it. I hate this job. As soon as the droid finished speaking, the bridge door suddenly opened, and War Machine, Anakin, Ahsoka, and Spider-Man ran in with the clones following closely behind. It was a quick sweep, and the B-1 combat robots were instantly destroyed, leaving only two. Don't shoot, the yellow robot pleaded. I'm not the commander, he is the commander. The robot next to it was shot down. Well, I guess I'm the commander now. Then it was shot. R2 continues to roll forward. R2, see if you can find Master Robber, Anakin demanded, and the astrodroid immediately began to work. After inserting itself into the server, the droid quickly figured out something for all the Republic troops on the bridge to see. A true GD holodragon, the holographic recording of Cad Bane said, and the memory crystal I seek. Upon seeing both items in the bounty hunter's hand, Ahsoka shouted, "Oh no, he has both now." Anakin turned to the clone commander and he gave the order, "Rex, send a squad, lock down the hangar bay, and destroy all escape pods. No one will be able to leave this ship. We must find Robber as soon as possible." "No need," Quicksilver's voice said through the communication, his tone serious. "I found him, but he is dead. But the enemy escaped, guys," Quicksilver said apologetically, "and that blue-skinned freak killed Ropal." Ahsoka looked sad, and Anakin clenched his fists tightly. "Rex." Anakin contacted his commander. "Have some men go to the cells and recover Master Opal's body. We are taking it back to Coruscant for burial soon." The spacecraft to shake violently. "What began?" "General Skywalker, this is Admiral Yularen. One of the engines on that frigate has exploded. Get clear of the stern section." Anakin pressed his wrist and responded, "Is the damage to the ship serious? I recommend immediate evacuation. Ending the transmission." Skywalker looked toward his allies. "So, what should we do now?" Spider-Man asked loudly. "We need to find Cad Bane and retrieve the Holotron," Anakin announced. "Master, we may not be able to retrieve the Holotragon in time," Ahsoka argued, "but if it is destroyed by the ship, Newt Gunray won't be able to get it either." "It's not that simple, Ahsoka," Anakin said. "Remember what Windu said, the Holodron contains the names of every known force sensitive in the galaxy. It is not something that can be easily replaced. I would rather return it to the GD archives myself." Having made up her mind. Ahsoka knew there was no point in trying to argue with her master as some of the troopers turned back to retrieve Master Oppa's body. The rest of the squad began to make their way through the Separatist cruiser. "What's up with all the lights? Why aren't they on?" 5 asked. "Stay alert," Anakin ordered. "This could be a trap." "That's probably it," War Machine said. Continuing through the halls, R2 whistled and beeped as they saw someone running past them. The group chased the figure and ran into a house on the robot spaceship, where they were greeted by Cad Bane and a large group of robots standing behind him. "Ah, Skywalker, it's good to see you again," Bane said condescendingly. "We have been waiting for you." The GD, the clones, and the 2 Avengers all raised their weapons on the bounty hunter, while the droid behind the Duro did the same. "It's over, Bane," War Machine said, pointing his weapon at the bounty hunter. "Hand over the Holotrigon, and we won't hurt you." "Oh, I will, believe me," Bane scoffed. "But first, I have a job to do, and I need the GD to do it for me. Besides, why the rush? My companion has been dying to see you again." "Who?" A chuckle echoed throughout the hangar, sending shivers down the spines of many clone troopers. "That's me." A huge figure fell from its hiding place in the hangar bay, landing with a loud thud and leaving a large crater behind him. "Hello, War Machine," growled the bounty hunter Dejang. "Ouch." War Machine and everyone else widened their eyes. "Him?" Ahsoka cried in horror. "Back off," War Machine yelled at the clones, raising his arms. "I know this is a waste, but now, screw it." A compartment opened above his wrist. War Machine fired his killing missiles, but Darkane was more than ready. He released his appendage, trapped the missile with his muscle and tissue, then detached his appendage and flung it away. The missile-wrapped appendage landed between several vulture robots and exploded violently. "Yeah, that's perfect," War Machine muttered loudly. Bane smiled smugly, activated his thrusters, flew back, and said, "Have fun, Durthorn." Dejang's body began to swell, and the other robots began to fire at the Republic group. Spider-Man fired a strand of silk and pulled himself up to the ceiling. "HMPH, that guy again," Bane muttered, recognizing Spider-Man. The clones opened fire on the droids while War Machine, Anakin, and Ahsoka began to engage Draconis. Darkane laughed manically, waving his spindly limbs around with no care as he fought the GD and the Avengers. As War Machine's shoulder-mounted machine guns continued to fire at the massive opponent, Anakin and Ahsoka sliced through Draconis' nerves and tissue. However, for every damage they inflict on the bounty hunter, it heals and regrows quickly. This is quite frustrating. The rest of the clones were on the offensive, making sure to keep their distance from the frenzied fighting ahead. The droids were not so lucky, so. "Who's that?" Quicksilver said, pointing to Dracula, who was now attempting to attack Spider-Man, who was swinging around him while trying to immobilize Dracula. "That's DG, that bounty hunter freak that Rhodes told me about, like," Anakin said, relighting his lightsaber. Quicksilver narrowed his eyes, twisted his neck, and rushed forward. Darcy threw his fist at Spider-Man, but he jumped away nimbly, and suddenly he felt himself shaking violently. "What is this?" DG roared. "Ah, what's the matter, freak? Is it too fast for you?" Quicksilver taunted. "It's so annoying." "We'll see," Bane said, pressing a controller on his wrist pad. Immediately, everyone began to float, clones and robots dangling in the air. "Wow, artificial gravity? That's awesome," Spider-Man exclaimed, and Ahsoka glared at him. Spider-Man said embarrassedly, "I mean, it's really bad." Spider-Man shot a spiderweb at Quicksilver, who was floating in the air, and pulled him to solid ground. The War Machine encountered little trouble and flew straight towards Draconis. Anakin and Ahsoka were working together to deal with the floating droids, while Rex had the clones activate the gravity boots. "Well, aside from that giant scary walking nervous system, my first fight was pretty cool," Spider-Man exclaimed. "Child." "Yes, Mr. Rhodes." Spider-Man leapt from his position, gliding easily through blaster fire and floating robot debris, quickly firing a series of large webs to ensnare Draconus. DG struggled for a while and tore the spider web, but at this moment, the War Machine released a torrent of fire towards DG. What War Machine didn't expect was that DG screamed in pain and then pushed War Machine hard against the wall. Everything was so sudden that War Machine was hit in the back of the head before he could react. Rhodes, Spider-Man shouted, "Colonel Skywalker," ran over and cut the appendage apart with his lightsaber as War Machine falls. Quicksilver quickly runs to the wall and grabs him, running back to the clones. "Colonel, are you okay?" Number 5 asked with concern. "I have a splitting headache." Skywalker, Quicksilver, Spider-Man, and Ahsoka focused their attention on Darkane. He was getting even crazier now, and he almost attacked Anakin and Ahsoka if Spider-Man hadn't held them aside. "Okay, seriously, is this guy mad? Or was he mad before that?" Spider-Man asked. Cad Bane watched the chaos with a grin on his face. It was time to put his own plans into action. Chapter 135 Ahsoka is captured. Cade flew past the fighting Draconus, Avengers, and GD Knights, heading straight for his destination. Seeing the Duro bounty hunter escape, Spider-Man does his best to give chase. However, this proves to be a bit difficult with the floating robot exploding. "Hey, R2. Spider-Man called out, "Mind turning on the gravity generator for us?" The space mech beeped and activated its thrusters, heading for the nearest port he could find. When this was done, Spider-Man fired several webs. Each caught a robot and he pulled them together, turning them into a pile of scrap metal. Blaster fire filled the turret room. A stray bullet knocked one of the tank shells off its locked rack, causing it to float. Seeing this, Rex shouted to his companions, "Watch out for accidental discharge. Hit one of the shells and the battle is over for all of us." Hearing this, Spider-Man looked towards the floating cannonball. He wanted to pull it out so his allies could be safe. As he turned to avoid more enemy fire, his eyes locked onto the figure of Thorn. He remembered hearing about the Mad Bounty Hunter's abilities and the impressive durability of the armor. It was now being attacked by War Machine's arsenal, but it hadn't made much of a dent, and now it would take something much stronger to pierce it. Suddenly, an idea flashed in the boy's head. "Captain Rex, I have an idea." Rex watched as Spider-Man grabbed one of the floating projectiles and swung it directly at Dracula, who had just thrown General Skywalker. Rex could barely suppress the grin beneath his helmet. The kid didn't look that bad, even if he was a little inexperienced. The cannonball flew right towards Thorn, who grabbed it, and Rex fired a perfect shot at the cannonball. The blaster struck the shell, exploding in a fiery fire, engulfing Thorn and sending other debris flying everywhere. Bane glanced back, just in time to see Anakin chasing after him. Just as the GD was about to reach him, R2 turned the gravity back on. Everyone fell to the ground, Bane and the Holotron falling together. Anakin stood up in time to see Bane snatch the Holotragon back and give him a sneering look. Anakin gritted his teeth and continued to pursue when something entangled his legs, preventing him from moving. Anakin's eyes widened at the familiar cluster of nerves wrapped around his leg. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me," Anakin muttered in disbelief and annoyance. "Thank you, my savior, Dejan," Bane said, pulling his hat. "Why isn't this guy dead?" Quicksilver shouted angrily, "Go to hell, you freak." "Hey, the cowboy is trying to run away." Spider-Man pointed at the retreating Duro bounty hunter. "I'll go find him," Ahsoka shouted, then rushed behind Bane. "No, Ahsoka." Anakin was thrown into the air. "I got him." Spider-Man leaped up, caught the GD, and landed on the ground, away from the regenerating, rampaging Draconus. "Thank you, Puck," Anakin said gratefully, looking back at Ahsoka, only to see the door closed. "No, she's walked into a trap," Anakin said. "Rex, retreat and regroup. Get as far away from Darcy as possible now. Get a ship in the hangar, and get out of here." "What about you, sir?" Rex asked. "The ship is going to be wrecked. I need to go find Ahsoka." War Machine yelled. "Anakin, go find Ahsoka. We'll take care of this asshole, sir." "Are you sure you can still fight?" Echo asked. "Never underestimate a warrior's potential, Echo. You should know that better than anyone." Before the clone could react, Despiel howled loudly as his body was transformed. "Let's blow him up again," said Spider-Man. "I support this idea." the boss said excitedly. I like you, Kit, you are so crazy. General, find Ahsoka and the bounty hunter. Rex encouraged. We will take this guy out. Anakin hesitated, but saw that his men and the Avengers encouraged him to go, so he went. However, Jack had other plans. The frantic Durthorn reached for a nearby shell and threw it directly at Anakin before grabbing a discarded droid rifle and opening fire. Oh my god. Quicksilver shouted, General Skywalker. Anakin looked back just in time to see the shell explode. Fortunately, it was at a safe distance and he would not be caught in the blast. Unfortunately, the force of the blast still sent a powerful shockwave that sent Anakin flying backwards, and the entire structure of the hangar began to collapse. Quicksilver immediately rushed forward, and Spider-Man frantically fired several webs to pull the clone troopers away from the falling debris point. At the same time, Ahsoka dashed through the hallways, chasing after the retreating Dalwo bounty hunter. She pushed herself to her limits in order to catch up with him, and it all seemed to pay off when he reached a dead end. Do you think you can get away? Bane just scoffed. You're not challenging enough, young man. Turning back, he smiled. I've got you exactly where I want you to be. He quickly drew his blaster and fired a round. Ahsoka swung her lightsaber, reflecting the round back at him. It struck Cade in the arm. He immediately fought back, kicking Ahsoka's lightsaber out of her hand before firing back in retaliation. Ahsoka dodged Cade's attack, tangled up his arm, and threw him to the ground. She stood beside Cade and said in a mocking tone, you are nothing more than that. As she used the force to bring her lightsaber back into her grasp, she didn't notice Cade grabbing her leg. Feeling the sudden contact, she looked down to see Bane pressing a button on his wrist, sending electricity through her body. Not long after, she lost consciousness. Bane stood beside her, grinning smugly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, The Bounty HUNTER-039 S-Plan. Anakin, for his part, realized after a moment that he was under quite a bit of rubble. Miraculously, he wasn't injured, only feeling the pain of bruises, so he clenched his fists as he called upon the Force to clear the rubble from his body. Seeing a wall separating Anakin from his men, he rushed towards it. Rex. 5. Echo. Rhodes. Anybody? General, we're fine. Rex grunted as blaster fire was heard from the other side. Glad to hear you're okay. Anakin. Quicksilver yelled, running up the wall to avoid the metal pipes thrown at him. Hurry up and grab that Smurf bastard and save your students. We need to get out of here now. Anakin pounded the wall with his fists, knowing now was not the time for discussion, trying to connect with his students. Unfortunately, the violent shaking prevented him from doing so. General Skywalker, Yularen said over the intercom. There is a surge of electricity to the bridge. If you are there, leave immediately. You must abandon your original plan. Anakin responded to the Republic Admiral. I don't have the Holotrigon's memory crystal, and Ahsoka has been captured. The frigate is being damaged. Move to a safe distance, Admiral, and await my signal to evacuate. Anakin ran in the direction Ahsoka had gone. Point aboard the Resolute. Yularen barely concealed his displeasure with the situation, complaining, of all the GD, why do I have to be with Skywalker? Aboard the Separatist cruiser, Bane watched as the young GD girl woke up, Ahsoka beginning to pull at her restraints. After realizing where she was, Ahsoka tugged at her electric cuffs, only to be met with a jolt of electricity. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Bane said to the bound Ahsoka. These things are designed for GD knights. Ahsoka ignored Bane's words and struggled. The more you struggle, the tighter the rope gets. The sound of explosions reached their position, meaning that the frigate was becoming increasingly unsafe as time passed. Enjoy your life, asshole bounty hunter. This burning ship will take us both, cat. Bane simply snorted condescendingly. Trust me, Kit, we still have time. The bond between a GD master and his Padawan is strong. It means my master will be coming to me as we speak. Bane grinned with sinister intent. Let's see if we can get him here faster. Bane pressed a control on his wrist pad, causing Ahsoka to scream in even more pain. Anakin ran down the corridor and stopped at a spot guarded by 3B1 battle droids. Inside the room, Bane watched as a breathless Ahsoka struggled to stay awake. Sir? There's a GD here, and he looks pretty angry, Obi-Wan said frantically. The droid was immediately silenced by the lightsaber swing. Bane simply nodded and activated the ray shield, separating him from Ahsoka. Your master has been notified. Ahsoka tried in vain to run towards Bane, but the beam shield pushed her back. As she fell to her knees, the door opened, revealing Anakin. You have nowhere to run, Bane, Anakin said, staring at Ahsoka to see if she was alright. Seeing her strapped behind a ray shield with obvious signs of injury, the Jedi's face darkened. Bane, surrounded by 2B2 super robots, turned around to face him. GD Knight, Cade said, raising his wrist pad to press a square button. If I activate this control, the airlock outside will open, and she will be forgotten in space. Do you really think you can kill me and then save her before she is pulled into space? That's a horrible way to die. Anakin's became worried at the thought of losing his student. Ahsoka glanced at Anakin before lowering her head in shame. Besides, isn't negotiation what the GD are best at? Bane asked sarcastically, and 2 super robots stepped forward to emphasize. Knowing he had no choice, Anakin sheathed his lightsaber and looked Bane straight in the eye. What do you want? This holotrigon contains the information I was hired to gather, Bane said, holding up the holotrigon. I can't open it, but you can. The last GD to have it was foolish enough not to open it, and you know what happened to him. I hope you don't make the same mistake. Anakin looked at Ahsoka, who only gave him a pained look. We don't have much time, Bane said more aggressively this time. Hurry, GD, or she will die. His finger hovered over the button that unlocked the space gate point. Anakin closed his eyes in pain, accepting the failure of this mission. No, Master, don't. Ahsoka shouted. I can't let you die, Ahsoka, Anakin whispered, throwing his lightsaber at Bane. How touching, Bane scoffed. Rex and War Machine, with the others on their side, are preparing to retreat when the ship begins to rock harder and harder, indicating that it is getting closer to the final explosion. Retreat proves difficult as a crazed bounty hunter, Dracula, is bent on hunting them all down and killing them all. This guy must be mentally ill, Spider-Man said as he jumped from one wall to another, trying his best to avoid the rampaging bounty hunter. Spider-Man flipped in midair and fired the remaining spider webs in the cartridge, forming a large web that completely blocked Ark's way. Keep going, Rex ordered. The hangar should be ahead. They ran over and saw the droids surrounding a Separatist fighter. This is how we get out of this place alive, 5 said. Clone. A B1 shouted. The robots were all dealt with in seconds, with Quicksilver throwing the last one into a wall, smashing it to pieces. Well done, Pietro, War Machine praised as the roaring voice of Deathorn caught their attention again. Hey, shut the fuck up, War Machine yelled at Dejong. Another missile was then launched, followed by several more micro missiles, all directed at DG. After the loud explosion, DG disappeared. The clones and Avengers breathed a sigh of relief, and Rex contacted Anakin. General Skywalker, we are ready to go at any time. How are things going over there? Chapter 137 Bane escapes. Anakin was now kneeling on the ground, the holo saw before him. He heard Rex's message, but did not respond to him. Under the influence of the Force, the holographic dragon slowly rose from the ground, and a bright blue light emanated from the inside of the cube. After the holographic dragon opened, Bane placed the memory crystal he obtained from Master Opera in the center of the holographic dragon point. The opened holographic dragon floated into Bane's hands. My employer will be very pleased. Anakin, on the other hand, had had enough of kneeling before this despicable bounty hunter. He used the Force to call his and Ahsoka's lightsabers into his hands. Soon, Anakin ignited both lightsabers and cut through the B2 super droid. However, suddenly Bane opened the space portal and Ahsoka barely managed to hold on to the raised structure of the wall, and as a massive vacuum began to expel the air from the room, Anakin quickly unlocked the ray shields and was also sucked into the vacuum, and he grabbed onto the other side of the wall again. Bane used his boot thrusters to quickly escape, and Ahsoka was nearly sucked out until her master held out his hand for her to grab. Managing to hit the door lock button, the door closed behind them, and the two fell to the ground. Removing the restraints from his apprentice, and returning her lightsaber to her, the two ran away, the ship shaking more and more, ready to crash at any moment. "Rex, I am coming," Anakin finally responded. "I hope you've found a ship in this floating junkyard, or we'll all be buried with it." "We were just waiting for you, sir," Rex informed. "We found a shuttle in the hangar, and some droids are trying to reach us. We're on our way, Rex," Ahsoka responded before Anakin could. "Ahsoka, we need to get that holotrogon back," Anakin argued. "Master, we can't do this," Ahsoka protested. "We don't have time now, or everyone on board will die." Anakin stopped running, thinking about what Ahsoka had said, and what she had done in the past few days. Anakin sighed. "You are right, my Padawan. Let's get out of here." They made their way through the corridors and reached the hangar in time to see the clones and the Avengers clearing out the remaining droids. On a platform, Anakin and Ahsoka watched in amazement as Clone Trooper Denard killed Cad Bane, causing the bounty hunter to fall to the ground and blend in with a pile of crates. "Come on, let's get out of here." War Machine waved to the Tajidi Knights and asked them to get on the shuttle. "Ah, you alright, Denard?" Anakin asked. "Did you manage to get the holotrogon?" "I'm sorry, sir," Denard replied in a heavy voice. "I can get it," Ahsoka said and started to jump out, but Anakin stopped her. "We don't have time, Ahsoka," Anakin said. Ahsoka glanced down in frustration, the shuttle flying away just in time as the Separatist cruiser finally began to fall apart. On the ship, Ahsoka noticed her master frowning in deep thought. "Master? Are you okay, kid?" Ahsoka and Anakin then looked at Spider-Man, who had taken off his mask and flinched slightly. "I don't know." Spider-Man knocked his head repeatedly. "You look like you have a headache," Echo pointed out. "I don't think this is a headache," Spider-Man said. It's something else." What the others didn't notice was that Denard was a little far away from them. The shuttle flew into the waiting Resolute. Alongside were two more Venator-class Star Destroyers from the Luminara fleet, which destroyed the remnants of the Separatist fleet that Bane had left them. Flying into the hangar, Anakin and Ahsoka stepped out to greet the waiting Admiral Yularen. "So, did you manage to recover the holotrogon?" Yularen asked. "Or capture the bounty hunter?" No, Anakin admitted shamefacedly. "I see." Yularen deadpanned, then walked away angrily. Anakin turned to where War Machine and Ahsoka were waiting for him. "So, what now?" War Machine asked. "We didn't get what we wanted, at least for now. The holographic dragon has not fallen into the hands of the Separatists. It was buried with the crash of Cad Bane in the Munich-class frigate." Ahsoka shrugged. As soon as the hateful Bane was mentioned, Ahsoka fell into self-blame. "Master, I'm sorry. I just rushed out so rashly and put myself in a desperate situation," Ahsoka said dejectedly. "If it weren't for me, Ahsoka, this is not your fault," Anakin said firmly. "It's my fault from beginning to end. I will learn from my mistakes." War Machine shrugged and said, "That would be nice." Anakin said angrily, "Can't you just leave us alone for a while?" Mr. Skywalker." Spider-Man walked out of the shuttle with a confused expression. "Parker? What's wrong? Do you know what that green thing is?" Spider-Man said, pointing to the interior of the shuttle. "What's that green thing?" Anakin asked, confused, then walked towards the shuttle. "This?" Spider-Man hesitated. "It looks a bit like blood." War Machine also asked in confusion. "Green blood?" Entering the shuttle, they see 5, Quicksilver, and Rex looking at a spot where there are a few drops of blood that Spider-Man calls green. "What's wrong, Rex?" Anakin asked. "It's blood," Rex said firmly, "but it certainly didn't come from one of our own." Anakin seemed to have thought of something. He raised his head suddenly, rushed out of the shuttle, looked around frantically, and then found Denard, or to be exact, a suspicious man wearing Denard's armor. "Stop that clone!" Anakin shouted towards the hangar, pointing at Denard, who started running while throwing smoke bombs. There was a brief moment of chaos in the hangar, with smoke covering the entire area. "Master?" Ahsoka rushed out. "It's Bane," Anakin said, running straight towards the smoke. Quicksilver swept past him, circling several times, blowing away the smoke, to reveal a disguised Bane, knocking down several clones before one swept at him and knocked his helmet off. Bane threw more grenades, explosions rang out, and several gunboats were swept into the fiery storm. Quicksilver rushed forward to rescue the clones, while War Machine and Anakin rushed towards Bane. Anakin was unable to make it in time as Bane had already left the hangar in a gunship, but this did not stop the War Machine. Rhodes, he still has the hello trigger on him, Anakin called out as he left the hangar. War Machine's machine gun fire followed the bounty hunter, but Bane proved to be cunning as he activated his thrusters, turned around and swept past War Machine, and was behind him in a flash. 2 missiles were fired at the Avengers, and War Machine dodged them hastily. Anakin was now contacting Admiral Yularen. Admiral, block hyperspace now. Anakin ordered. It's Bane. He's escaping in one of our gunships. War Machine was able to shoot down the pursuing missiles just in time, and seeing that Bane had entered hyperspace, he could only watch him escape. Damn it, War Machine said loudly in frustration. What do we do now? Ahsoka asked her master. Anakin could only let out a defeated sigh. We'll notify the council. Chapter 138 GD Baby. Having failed in his mission, and returning to the temple was not a pleasant feeling for Anakin Skywalker. Cad Bane almost easily escaped their pursuit, and worst of all, he got what he wanted, the holodron information of all the Force-sensitive children and the Republic. Anakin and Ahsoka now stood before the GD Council. Master Windu said, Bane's escape again poses a serious problem. He now has access to the names of every Force-sensitive child in the Republic, but what use does he have for this information? Master Debabilaba asked doubtfully. Anakin said, we know Bane was hired by the Separatists for this mission. Don't forget who is leading the Separatists. Dooku, Windu said in a stern tone. Inflict devastating damage to the GD Order. He can, Yoda said. Then we must act quickly, Plo said firmly. The sooner we identify the purpose of this Cad Bane, the sooner we can capture him and regain what we have lost. As the GD prepare to meditate in hopes of finding out who Bane will target first among the Force-sensitive children, Spider-Man and Quicksilver are helping an exhausted and concussed War Machine. All the Avengers went to help the Republic carry out the mission, leaving only the still unconscious Ant-Man. Fortunately, Quicksilver's GD friend Emma Gunday would come to look after Ant-Man from time to time. Tap, how is it? Is it a concussion? Asked Quicksilver. Yes, Comrade Rhodes will probably need a day to recover. How's the armor? War Machine grunted, rubbing his aching head. It can be repaired, but it will take a little time. I drew up the schematics with the materials needed. That's good news at least, Quicksilver muttered, frowning and crossing his arms. So what do we do now? Spider-Man asked, sitting down, feeling a little tired. The man in blue has the list of GD treasures. Who knows what he's going to do? The GD baby list. What's going on? Scott. The returning trio of Avengers cheered upon hearing their fellow hero finally wake up. Ant-Man frowned but gave his friends a smile as he slowly sat up. Quicksilver and Spider-Man walked over to him. Hey, guys, Ant-Man said tiredly. How long have I been unconscious this time? Spider-Man recalled the Wasp talking about the gigantic ability of Pyme's technology. Oh, yes. 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Ant-Man yelled, then grabbed his head and twisted his body in pain, then fell down again. Ant-Man opened his eyes and noticed that a significant portion of the Avengers were absent. Only War Machine, Spider-Man, and Quicksilver were present. Where did everyone go? Ant-Man asked. It's just a mission with the GD, War Machine grunted. What's wrong with you? Ant-Man asked with concern. We just came back too. We were injured in the battle and feel a little dizzy. Spider-Man also said frustratedly. Basically, our capture mission this time has failed. So what are you going to do now? I don't know. Quicksilver said, this is a GD matter, but now it involves a lot of children, and the cunning bounty hunter Cad Bane is the culprit. Wait, what? Ant-Man was confused by the message. The Smurf bounty hunter shows up again. Apparently, he was hired by the Separatists to get information on all the Republic's children who could potentially become GD Knights, War Machine said, taking a sip to help with his headache. But seriously, what are we supposed to do now? Spider-Man asked again. I don't want that nasty knockoff cowboy bounty hunter going after those innocent babies. A knockoff cowboy? You mean Bane? The men turned around and saw Black Widow and the Wasp walked into the room. Scott. The Wasp shouted ecstatically and immediately rushed to Ant-Man, hugged him tightly, and gave him a loving kiss. Are you okay? She asked worriedly. Just a little headache. Ant-Man replied tiredly. Where have you been? Quicksilver asked. Helping Jane Foster's intergalactic twin sister deal with something involving potential future problems. Black Widow said mysteriously. Glad to hear your spy skills are as sharp as ever, War Machine joked. What are you doing? The Wasp asked. Your armor looks badly damaged, Rhodes. This is because comrades Rhodes, Pietro, and Peter are fighting against the enemy known as Deathorn. Tap answered for them. His armor has been damaged and needs repair. Well, that's a good thing. I'm back and Scott is awake. The Wasp said happily. But, what did you do involving Bane? Asked Black Widow. The cowboy hunter was hired by the Separatists to obtain something called a Holodrigon from the GD temple, Quicksilver explained. And on that Holodrigon, there was a list of all the Force-sensitive children in the Republic, basically their future GD knights. Black Widow narrowed her eyes when she heard about the GD and their recruitment methods, but said nothing, only asking, okay, so what's the plan now? Good question, Quicksilver muttered. I think we'll have to wait for the GD's answer. Why? Can't we do anything? Do we have to listen to the arrangements of the GD? Asked the Wasp. As it relates to the GD, Anakin and Ahsoka told me how the Holodrigon only reacts to them in a certain way, said Spider-Man. So, there's really nothing we can do now? Black Widow asked again. Pretty much, Quicksilver shrugged. But you can tell us what you're doing about helping Senator Padme, right? Black Widow said. Almost. But it's a little complicated. And having to deal with those pesky politicians, said the Wasp, sitting next to Ant-Man. Sounds boring, War Machine said, knowing all too well what it was like to deal with politicians. Yeah. Chapter 139. One step too late. Cad Bane sat in one of his idiots, putting on spare clothes, while putting away his newly acquired clone armor. At this moment, he leaned back, adjusting his equipment, while talking to a Sith Lord. I have delivered what you wanted, but this time, an unexpected situation arose. The Avengers, so the remuneration needs to be changed. Bane said. I will make it up to you, Bane. Bane nodded and leaned forward. Since you are the one who contacted me, it seems to me that you still need my services. I need test subjects. I want you to select 5 children and bring them to Mustafa, Sidious said. Kidnapping innocent children? Bane said, unimpressed. I may be a bounty hunter, but even I know it's a bit inhumane. Honestly, kidnapping 5 children seems like a minor crime to someone like you. Among the children of the GD Knights, none is innocent. Sidious said firmly. I can assure you of this. Of course. Bane said contemptuously, putting on his hat. As long as the price is right, it makes no difference to me. GD Temple. All this time, Anakin, Yoda, Mace, and Pro were sitting in the meditation room. The 4 of them sat cross-legged on round chairs, closed their eyes, and used the Force to sense Bane's next target. Jungle World. I see. It's Rhodia. Yoda said slowly. Pro exhaled softly. I saw a mother and her child. There is an ocean planet. Mace began. Home. The Nautilans. Anakin. I feel. A place I've been before. Naboo. Yangua. A village. The southern sector. Yoda added. Feel it strongly. I do. In the future, you see, young Skywalker. Yoda said. To Naboo. You must go. Cad Bane. You will find it. With you. Take your Padawan. Anakin just nodded. There's something else. Plo Koon began. I sense a force coming from Jeddah. Jeddah? Anakin asked, confused. The name sounded familiar. That planet is very old for a GD. Yoda said mysteriously. Jeddah had a temple. We pulled out the GD at the beginning of the war. We retreated from the GD temple. Anakin asked. Why would we do that? It seemed the most unwise course of action. We were thrust into the war suddenly and quickly, Mace replied, and several of the temples we temporarily abandoned. Thankfully, no Separatist forces have taken them. Anakin said. Should we go there now? The Force will guide us, Yoda said. Jeddah. This is not our first destination. We must go to Rodia and Naboo. Then I will go to Rodia, Plo Koon announced, and the group dispersed, with Anakin and Plo preparing to leave. It is still possible that Bane could target and abduct more children. Windu said to Yoda, capture and retrieve the Holodragon. We must, Yoda said, and do it as quickly as we can, if we are to stop the Darkseid's plans. Anakin runs to find Ahsoka and meets Spider-Man and Quicksilver. Ahsoka. Anakin called to her, we need to act now. Master, what's going on? With managed to learn where Cad Bane will be going. Anakin said, so we need to head to Naboo now. We have a chance to intercept him there. So do we have a plan? Anakin jumped at the sound behind him and looked back at Black Widow. Where exactly are you from? Anakin asked in confusion. I just got back from my own mission, but it looks like you guys need help now. Anakin wanted to ask more, but he was pressed for time, and frankly, leaving his Padawan with 3 Avengers felt like a sure thing that would capture him if they encountered Bane. Okay, let's go then. I'll give you all the details on the way. The GD Knights and willing Avengers have sprung into action as a bounty hunter is way ahead of them. Cad Bane arrived on Rodia long before the GD or Republic forces arrived, and he was dressed in GD robes. Cad Bane sat in the living room with the mother of the Rodian baby. Your son is strong in the Force. He will make an excellent GD Knight, although the child's mother is proud. She is quite worried. Master, Ropal said he would go to the temple sooner or later, but he didn't say now. The mother said in a concerned tone. Master, Ropal does not realize the danger your son is in. There is a fake GD master who has been wandering the galaxy, stealing many future GD treasures. In order to protect your son, I must take him to the GD temple now. The mother hugged her son tightly, not wanting to let go, and the disguised bounty hunter reached out his hand. But he's my only child. A GD starfighter piloted by Master Plo Koon descended from hyperspace above the planet Rodia. Plo detached from the hyperspace ring and quickly flew to the surface of the planet. Pro Space Mecha made several concerned noises. I know about D6. I hope we are not too late. Plow said seriously. Flying to the ground, Plow quickly jumped out of the ship and rushed out, recalling the home of the Force-sensitive baby in his vision point, passing through the droids and other Rodians. Plo Koon reached his destination, knocking repeatedly on the door. Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? Asked Pro Point. The door opened, revealing a Rodian woman who glared at Pro. If you're looking for my son, GD, he's not here. This made Plo Koon worried, and he asked anxiously, what do you mean? Where is he? The only response he got was the door closing in front of him. Please, I'm just trying to help. Your son is in danger. There was no response from inside the house, and the GD master had no choice but to use the Force to open the door. Once inside, he was faced with a blaster, the child's mother holding the weapon against him. You'll never find him from me. I mean no harm to you. Plo waved a hand in front of her, the Force clearing the Rodian's mind. Tell me, where did the bounty hunter take your son? A bounty hunter? The mother asked doubtfully, but he's a GD Knight. Plo called upon the Force to take the blaster from her hands, staring at the weapon and saying, GD do not carry blasters. Mother Rodia gasped in disbelief, touched her face with one hand in dismay, and wailed in pain. What have I done? She began to cry and fell to her knees. Just then, Pro heard the sound of an engine igniting outside the house. He rushed outside and saw Cad Bane flying into the air and flying towards an adjacent building. Moments later, a craft took off to unknown parts. Plow slammed his fist into the fence, blaming himself for his stupidity. Don't let me run into you again, Bounty Hunter. Chapter 140 Capturing Cad Bane. On the planet Naboo, a large gunship flies quickly through the air to a hangar. After landing, the hatch opens to reveal a 5-man team consisting of Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, Peter Parker, Natasha Romanoff and Pietro Maximoff. They were greeted by Lieutenant Typho of the Naboo Guard and a Gungan warrior, General Skywalker. Typho greeted. I heard you were here. Has the Gungan family been notified? Anakin asked directly. Yes, Captain Runk is in charge of the guard there, Typho said, pointing to the Gungan next to him. He will take you to Gunga City. We'd better act quickly, said Black Widow. I haven't worked with Bane for long, but he's very cunning. If we can't catch him here, then we may never have a chance. So what should we do? Ahsoka asked. It's simple, said Black Widow. People like Bane need to be taken down quickly. Make sure we don't give him time to think or plan. When he's on a mission, he always leaves several escape routes. Then let me take the lead, Ms. Romanoff, Ahsoka said firmly. I have a score to settle with Bane. Okay, don't do anything rash, Anakin said. Anakin urged her to follow the Gungan warriors to Gunga City. Ahsoka and the Avengers soon left, leaving Anakin to have a brief conversation with Captain Typho. Meanwhile, the bounty hunter arrived on Naboo and flew to the coordinates given to him by the Holodron. Cad Bane turned the radio jammer and signal on full blast so he could fly in undetected, and he descended to the planet side where he saw his destination in the center of a lake with a waterfall canyon behind it. Bane made his way through the shadows and alleys, through the city, until he reached the destination on his list. Bane entered carefully from the rooftop and looked down at a Gungan mother humming softly in what was obviously a nursery before gently placing a swaddled infant in a crib. She stayed there for a long moment, rocking the cot back and forth, apparently waiting until the child was asleep before she left the room. Seeing her gone, Bane knew that he didn't have much time left and the GD would be here soon. Entering the room, Bane tiptoed carefully to the crib and frowned when he saw the bundle of blankets inside. Bane narrowed his eyes and lifted the blanket to find only a small stuffed toy inside. It seems I have been deceived, Bane thought to himself. The sound of a lightsaber igniting from behind all but confirmed Bane's assessment of the situation. Hold still, bounty hunter, Ahsoka Tano announced, brandishing her lightsaber. You are not the child I expected to find, Bane scoffed. Of course, you are very clever. You are outnumbered. I advise you to surrender. Bane's head snapped to the ceiling above him, and he saw Spider-Man sitting there comfortably behind the crib. His former accomplice, the Black Widow, appears with her gun pointed at his head. After a gust of wind blew past him, Bane turned around and saw Quicksilver standing next to Ahsoka with his arms crossed. Bane gritted his teeth and slowly raised his arms in surrender. His right hand bent back as smoke erupted around him. Quicksilver did not hesitate and quickly turned around the room twice to clear the smoke. Spider-Man, who had been staying on the ceiling, saw Bane fly out of the opening in the roof. Spider-Man gives chase and fires webs at Bane's boot thrusters. Bane fell to the ground, but he reacted quickly, pulling out both pistols and shooting at Spider-Man in the process, who quickly dodged all the blaster fire. Bane groaned and looked up, seeing 5 men staring at him hungrily. Looks like I win, Ahsoka announced, and Bane just stared. Bane was quickly cuffed, and before he was led away, Ahsoka took care to remove her Padoran braid pendant from her belt. I think this belongs to me, she said angrily, sticking it back on her head. Bane just watched breathlessly as Anakin and Black Widow pushed him into motion. Ahsoka looked over to the Gungan mother holding her child in her arms. Spider-Man was beside her, looking at the young baby curiously. Wow, he muttered quietly, smiling widely as the Gungan child squeezed his hand and cooed at him. She's cute. The Gungan mother smiled. Your daughter is safe now, Ahsoka said as she stroked the baby, causing it to smile happily. Do you really think so? Bane shouted, startling the child. He suddenly found that his mouth was covered by a rag. He blinked and was speechless. He glared at Quicksilver angrily. Cad Bane just whimpered and growled. A short time later, they were back in the Republic fleet, with Cad Bane sitting in a holding cell aboard the Resolute, his hands cuffed to a table. Surrounding him were Plo Koon, Mace Windu, and Natasha Romanoff. Bane kept his head down, with only one light in the room shining on him. As of now, we know that you have taken 2 children. Plo Koon's calm tone was filled with anger. Where did you take them? Somewhere beyond your reach, Bane said calmly. Who are you working for? Windu asked. Myself, Bane. You and I both know this is a lie, Black Widow said from the corner of the room. I don't know what this holographic dragon is, but you stole it from the GD temple. It's safe to say that the GD temple is one of the last places you would want to steal something. Bane growled at her. Don't think I forgot about your little deception on Coruscant. Oh, I'm sad to lose a comrade like you, Black Widow said sarcastically. You have to realize that your delay is pointless, Plo said. We will eventually recover the holotragon you stole. So why put yourself through this? And what will you do, GD Knight? Bane taunted. Torture me, they might not. Black Widow clenched her fists, electricity crackling from her wrists, but I sure can. Bane simply glared at her, and the Avengers stepped forward. Romanoff, Windu said sharply, as if silently telling her to back off, in a way that was all too similar to Nick Fury. However, this is not Nick Fury. This is certainly not S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow punched the bounty hunter in the side of the face, sending out a powerful jolt of electricity that made Bane yell in pain. Hey. Windu pulled her away. That's not how GD work. I'm not a GD, remember? Black Widow shot back defiantly. You were trying to save 2 babies that were kidnapped by this bastard, weren't you? You know he needs to explain this. Otherwise everything will be meaningless. That's enough. Plo Koon interrupted. Now is not the time to argue between us. We have more pressing matters to attend to right now. The Avengers and the other GD looked at each other, and Windu turned to look at Bane, who had his arms crossed and a mocking smile on his face. Windu narrowed his eyes at him, pacing around the bounty hunter. You are a strong-willed bounty hunter, Bane, Windu said, but your thoughts betray you. I believe you are not speaking up now, because your fear for your employer outweighs your fear of us. Bane's smile turned into a frown and he leaned back into the shadows. Squinting his eyes, Windu shook his head and left the holding cell, where he saw Anakin and his Padawan, as well as the other 2 Avengers who were accompanying them on this mission. Chapter 141 Split Up. We turned the ship over, Anakin told the trio interrogating Bane, but we found no child and no holotrogon. Have you checked the navigation system? Windu asked. Checked, but apparently Bane cleared the navigation data beforehand. Anakin said bitterly. He must have wiped the data before he got to Naboo. Ahsoka said bitterly. So what should we do now? Spider-Man asked. What on earth does he want to do with the child? Well, he's a bounty hunter and a big jerk, Quicksilver said flatly. The clones standing guard barely managed to hold back their laughter. So that begs the question. How do we get him to talk? Plow asked the group. Perhaps the Force can be used to make him talk, Anakin said, glaring at the cell holding the captured bounty hunter. Bane is no ordinary bounty hunter, Plo retorted. I'm afraid a simple telepathy won't have any effect on him. Telepathy? Quicksilver became interested. What is that? Anakin gave a brief explanation. Basically, we can use the Force on those with weak wills, influence individuals to do things they wouldn't normally do. Yes, this is completely different from torture. It just bypasses a voluntary will. Black Widow said sarcastically. It's more complicated than that, Ms. Romanoff, Plow said soothingly. What? If we focus on his mind together? Ahsoka suggested. Well, using the Force to force a powerful will to cooperate is risky. It's possible that his mind was destroyed in the process, Windu added. The alarm on Quicksilver and Spider-Man's faces was obvious when they heard this. Wait, what? Spider-Man interrupted. Destroy his mind? What other options do we have? The children's lives are in danger, men, Anakin argued. I know this isn't a very honorable thing to do, but we have to do it. But destroying a man's mind? I always thought you were doctors who guard peace, not lobotomies. Spider-Man muttered. Ahsoka and Plo glared at the young hero. Pro sighed tiredly and placed a hand on the New Yorker's shoulder. If this worst case scenario really happens, then we will be responsible for it. Spider-Man's eyes suddenly widened and he narrowed his eyes at the GD. Responsibility, huh? Spider-Man asked back. He wanted to stop all this, but now was not the place where he could do much because he was unwilling to agree with the views of these GD Knights. He quickly turned and left, with Quicksilver following Spider-Man. What's the problem? Ahsoka asked. Black Widow sighed softly and said nothing. Ahsoka recalled a conversation she had with Barris and Spider-Man at the temple, where he seemed to react rather oddly to the word duty. What did that mean to him? As much as I hate to do this, we have to do it, Anakin said, now feeling a little guilty considering the reaction he just saw from Spider-Man. Nodding to Skywalker, Windu re-entered the cell with Anakin and Plo behind him, Ahsoka and Black Widow standing behind them. 3 GD Knights stood before Cad Bane, and the bounty hunter looked at them with a little confusion. Closing his eyes, Skywalker raised his hands first. Channeling the Force, Anakin spoke. You will lead us to the holotrogon. Bane scoffed. The Jedi's mind tricks have no effect on me. Plo Koon then joined in, repeating the actions Skywalker was doing, saying the same words. You'll lead us to the Holotrigon. This time, the Dualuo bounty hunter began to feel something, and he began to shake his head, and as time passed, his head throbbed more violently. Soon, Mace Windu finally joined in, and all three Jedi were paying full attention. You'll lead us to the Holotrigon. Bane began to struggle, because he felt a headache. I can't. You are dreaming. Take us there now. Bane began to fall, breathing heavily now. I'll take you. He then jerked out of his struggle, realizing he was giving in to them, and yelled, no. Get out of my head. Ahsoka watched worriedly. She saw the bounty hunter struggling against the telekinesis, his veins popping and throbbing. Soon, the Jedi released his hold on Bane, causing him to fall onto the interrogation table, Bane gasping for air. Seeing that they were unsuccessful, Anakin proposed an idea. Maybe we should try again. Ahsoka was about to voice her concerns when the bounty hunter seemed to give in. I've had enough. He exhaled. I'll take you to find the Holotrigon. You'll get the child back soon. Bane was escorted to the Resolute by a clone team led by Commander Wolf and Ponzi. The assembled Jedi and Avengers stood in the hangar bay of the Resolute, pondering Cad Bane's words. He was going to take us to the Holotrigon, Windu said. But he talked about Jedha. What do you mean? Ahsoka asked. It's far more dangerous than we expected, Plo Koon said grimly. Something we foolishly didn't consider. What? Quicksilver asked. He could easily record the Holodron's message and send it to whoever hired him. That means he could have someone else capture the other kids, Plo said. So, what do we do? Spider-Man asked calmly, now a little wary of the Jedi. After leaving the holding cell, we are going to have to split up, Anakin said. One team goes to Jedha to protect the children there. One team goes to retrieve the Holotrigon, and one team needs to find where the kidnapped children are. Bane wouldn't be stupid enough to leave the Holodron in the same place as the children, Plo said. He would have separated them, no doubt. But he deleted all the navigation data, Ahsoka countered. How can we find them? There must be clues on his ship, Black Widow said. No matter how cleanly he wiped the data, there will be traces. So what's the plan? Asked Quicksilver. I will go with Plo and Bane to retrieve the Holotrigon. Mace stepped forward. Anakin, you go find the kidnapped children, as you know more about ship navigation than most. That leaves Jedha, said Black Widow. Who goes there then? Jedha. Plo Koon muttered to himself. If I remember correctly, Jedi Knight Arla Secura is only one system away from that planet. Ahsoka, contact Arla and tell her the situation. Then you and Arla will reunite. Anakin instructed his Padawan. Master, are you sure? Ahsoka asked nervously. I'll go. Spider-Man walked forward with a determined expression. And me. Black Widow added. You two need at least one adult to accompany you. Then I will stay with you for a while, Anakin, said Quicksilver. Then let's get started, Mace said, turning and entering the ship prepared for them. Master. Anakin stopped them and said hesitantly, you two might fall into a trap. Even if it's a trap, Windu said firmly, we will turn it upside down. You sure you don't need more help? Spider-Man asked. Despite their previous unpleasantness regarding force mind manipulation, we'll be fine, Mr. Parker, Plo assured. For now, we can only do what we have to do and prepare for whatever comes our way. Plo turned and entered the fighter that Commander Wolf had prepared, and Cad Bane was pushed inside. Knowing that time is running out, the group springs into action, with Ahsoka's team heading to the bridge of the Resolute to contact Arla, while Quicksilver and Anakin stay behind to search for the kidnapped children. Chapter 142 Another Escape. In the hangar, Skywalker was in Bane's cockpit, which he had checked countless times. What are you doing? Quicksilver asked, watching Anakin checking the map and Bane's ship. Try to find another way to track Bane's course, Anakin said, typing in a few commands that displayed the various planets Bane had visited. R2, can you continue to adjust the route? So, there must be another way to track him, right? Quicksilver said, leaning against the boat, and then getting off after a while. His entire sleeve was covered with black dust. What's wrong with this guy? Quicksilver said, brushing the dust off his arm. I wonder if that guy has cleaned his boat. There's soot everywhere. Hearing this detail, Anakin seemed to have thought of something and said excitedly, R2. The robot beeped in confirmation. Quicksilver asked curiously, what did you find? You mentioned the ash just now. I seemed to think of something, but I couldn't grasp it. Bane has been to so many places, he must have replenished fuel. Fuel? What do you mean? Bane may have wiped all his route data, but on the other hand, his fuel routes, a new planet appeared between Rhodia and Naboo. What is that? Mustafa. Mufasa. Mustafa. Anakin corrected. It's a planet far from the mid-rim. It's a very remote mining world, so what? There's a lot of molten ash, lava, and volcanoes. Ash. Bane must have been to Mustafa, and the child must be on this planet. Anakin jumped out of the cockpit and walked towards the dusk. At this point, Mustafa is the most likely place to hide those two children. Do you think we'll find the child there? Asked Quicksilver. It depends on whether we can get there as soon as possible. Plo Koon and Mace Windu, accompanied by Commanders Ponzi and Wolf, sat around the captured bounty hunter to ensure he did not attempt to escape. The coordinates given to them by the Duro bounty hunters led them to a secluded asteroid belt, where they eventually found a safe house hidden in plain sight. Larger ships could not pass through, so Plo Koon and Mace Windu had to take a small transport to gain access. We've come a long way, Bane, Plo said calmly, attaching their transport to the station's hull. We are in neutral space, if I remember correctly. In case this part of your memory is messed up, have you forgotten the war going on in the galaxy? Bane asked rhetorically. The bounty hunting business is booming, but keeping yourself in the midst of all this madness is still a problem. Now, do you want your holotrogon back? Mace and Plo looked at each other before turning and nodding to their clone commander, just in case. Once the connection was properly secured, the door opened, and Bane was forced to walk ahead of the two GD masters to prevent the bounty hunters from leading them into a trap. I don't sense any kids around here, Plo pointed out. Why would I leave them here? Bane asked deadpan. Does this place look like a daycare? Mace simply gave the bounty hunter a glare. Anyway, Bane nodded in motion for the two GD to look over. This is your precious holographic dragon. In the darkness, the two GD masters saw a glow light in the far corner of the room. I'll get it for you. No need. Plo grabbed his shoulder and held out his other hand. The holographic dragon trembled slightly, and then it fell into Plo's hand. Suddenly, an alarm sounded in the room, a shrill sound accompanied by flashing lights. What's wrong? What have you done? Touch the sensor, GD, Bane said, peering into the open compartments. It wasn't long before several turrets came out, aiming directly at the GD, and I'm the only one immune to my defenses. Both men ignited their lightsabers and stared at the turret warily. Bane walked to a nearby wall and pressed a series of keys. As the keys were pressed, a door opened. Goodbye, GD, Bane taunted, and closed the door. No, you can't escape. Bounty hunter, Mace Windu said, rushing forward. Plo also began to chase. Suddenly, another bounty hunter fired several blaster bolts at the GD, blocking both of them. You are too slow. Come on, it's you who didn't wait for me. Allah, Bane said. The two then prepared to escape. Anaya, Crow will be very disappointed in you. Aura, Puro called out to her, causing the former GD Padawan to pause. How dare you mention her name in front of me? Allah fired several bullets angrily and roared. She abandoned me. Have you committee members forgotten? We don't have time for this. Bane slammed the emergency button and the escape pod ejected from the safe house. The two GD could only watch as Bane escaped once again. We got the holo saw. Plo held up the cube. But we still feel like we failed. I'm afraid this will become commonplace in this war, Mace said grimly. With the mission successfully completed, the two GD council members left Bane's safe house. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, Finding the GD Baby. Mustafa, 3 babies are crying as several robots are examining them and preparing them for testing. An aerospace mech is conducting holographic communication with the Sith Lord. Darth Sidious whispered to the Rodian boy, "Soon you will stop crying." A robot rolled over to the holographic projection and issued a report. "Master, subjects of this age rarely survive the slave conditioning program. If we do this, when they are older it is normal to have risks." Sidious interrupted him, staring at the Nautolan boy, the Rodian boy, and finally the human girl in the cage-like crib. "These children have talents too great for the GD to waste. I foresee an army of Force geniuses serving me, trained in the dark side, able to peer into every corner of the galaxy from afar." As he approached the human baby girl, he let out a chuckle, "And my enemies will be helpless against such visions." As the Sith Lord continued to examine the children, the door to the room opened, and a grown man walked in. Grown ups, Thor Score. Darth Sidious greeted him, and Score knelt on one knee. "I am very glad Dooku was able to send you here on such short notice, Master." "Sidious, what are your orders?" asked the fallen GD. "There is much to do," Sidious said. "These younglings will be the future of the Sith, and must be watched, while the droids are experimented upon. Mustafa may be far away, but the GD are cunning, and may well find their way here. Master, your will be done," Skull promised. After receiving a satisfied nod from the Dark Lord, he looked at the robot and said, "Begin preparations." All this time, Anakin and Quicksilver have been traveling through hyperspace and finally reached their destination. "So this is Mustafa? Certainly look cheerful." "Yes. R2, prepare for landing," Anakin said. Everything was ready, and the experiment finally began. However, before the equipment could be placed on the baby, a robot came to the fallen GD and his Sith Master. "A starship is approaching, and it's not the bounty hunters. Could it be a GD?" Skull asked. "It must be." Sidious turned his attention to Score. "Protect the children and transport them to the secondary facility. I'm afraid we have to abandon this place. Be careful that no evidence falls into the hands of the GD." "Of course, my lord." "Turn off the gravity support and let this place sink into the lava." As the holographic projection ended, Skull began his mission. The dusk landed in Quicksilver. Anakin and R2 walked out. Quicksilver could barely contain himself. "Oh my god. Fuck, it's like we stepped into hell." Anakin shrugged. Apt description. "I hope the child is here," Quicksilver said, staring at the facility in front of them. "We are about to find out." R2 walked ahead of them both, accessing the control panel and opening the door for them. Walking into the house, Quicksilver frowned and said, "My intuition tells me that there are some nasty things here." "The Force," Anakin said slowly. "The dark side is strong here." "What do you mean?" "This is the place." Walking through the hallway, Quicksilver soon heard the faint cry of a baby. "Did you hear it?" "I hear you, Pietro." Anakin closed his eyes and focused on the sound. After a moment, he found the source. "This way." Quicksilver sped forward, and Anakin used the Force to follow the Avengers. The sound was now more distinct as the two men got closer. Arriving at a closed room, Anakin lit his lightsaber, and Quicksilver prepared behind him, as if he was about to race, ready to take the child away the moment Anakin signaled. As the large piece of metal fell to the ground, after being cut by Anakin's lightsaber, Quicksilver ran in, followed by Anakin, his weapon still ablaze, to help illuminate the room point. After entering the room, both of them were nervous, because it was difficult to see clearly inside. Quicksilver saw that the crib was empty, and stamped his feet. "Damn it. We're late." "I don't think so." A baby's cry was heard in the room, and the two turned around to see a nurse droid rushing towards Anakin with an Autolan baby in his arms. To Quicksilver, the robot was moving in slow motion, and he was already running towards it. With an elbow smash to the robot's head, the robot was scrapped, and the child was firmly held in Quicksilver's hands. Anakin Skywalker. Anakin aimed his lightsaber at the sudden sound, while Quicksilver shielded the Autolan baby with one arm. In front of them stood a man in armor and robes, wielding a crimson lightsaber. Behind him stood another robot, holding a Rodian baby. The man was holding the last baby girl. Chapter 144. Former GD Knight Thor Score. "Well, that's great. It's all here," Quicksilver muttered. "So who are you anyway?" Anakin's eyes narrowed as he took in the man, that hair, the scar over his right eye. I know you. You are Thor Score. Didn't you die on Korriban? Quicksilver was a little confused. What are you talking about? It's nice to know that someone of your growing stature would recognize one of his brothers. Brother? Quicksilver said in confusion. This guy's your brother. That's not it. Anakin said to the former GD. How did you survive? Of course, it's because of Count Dooku. Dooku. Anakin's eyes narrowed. You have fallen to the dark side, Score said calmly. No, I was saved. Awakened to the true potential of the Force, not the dogmatic and stagnant dictatorship of the GD. You going to attack those who helped you? Anakin growled. Did I? It was Count Dooku who helped me when I needed it most, Thor said firmly. It was Count Dooku who showed me my true path in the Force, not the GD. Score raised his crimson sword. With Count Dooku's training, I will defeat you, Skywalker. Wow, that's impossible. Quicksilver scoffed. Skull stared at the Avenger and asked in a disinterested tone, who are you? Someone who's about to take the kids back and beat the shit out of you. Isn't it usual to demand the return of the child before threatening or using violence? No, you're holding a baby hostage. As Avengers, we don't lie, and we don't take too kindly to such behavior, Quicksilver said flatly. The mere mention of the word Avengers changed Thor's demeanor, making him more defensive. His master had told him that these Avengers were mysterious and unstable element, and now that one of them was standing before him, he wasn't going to take it lightly. In an instant, before Skull could react, the robot beside him was quickly destroyed, and the Nautolan baby was firmly held in Quicksilver's other arm. Quicksilver grinned smugly at the former GD, when suddenly the entire room began to shake. A warning of a gravity system failure sounded on a nearby screen. The floor creaked and then began to collapse. Seeing this, Score swung his lightsaber downwards and leaped towards Quicksilver, but was intercepted by Anakin. Anakin raised his lightsaber and prepared to fight, but Score smiled sinisterly and held the baby in front of him unscrupulously, and the baby started crying. Anakin, who had nowhere to start, was knocked away by Score to Quicksilver's side. Suddenly, the floor beneath Score's feet collapsed, and he sheathed his lightsaber and quickly grabbed a wire that was luckily hanging from the ceiling. Anakin saw his chance and pulled the baby out of Score's grasp, tossing the rest of the children safely into the hands of the Avengers. Quicksilver quickly grabbed the last child and tried to calm him down. Pietro, get the kids out of here. How about you? I'll hold Thor back when you get back to the dusk. But let's go. Anakin yelled, blocking yet another attack from the fallen GD. As much as he wanted to help beat the GD traitor to a pulp, Quicksilver had to get the child to safety. Without further hesitation, Quicksilver ran through the corridor towards the dusk. Meanwhile, Thor had swung back from the cable he'd grasped onto to safer ground and reignited his lightsaber. Score attempted to hunt down the Avengers, but Skywalker stood in his way of recovering his master's experimental subjects. Get out of the way, Skywalker, unless you walk over my dead body. That will satisfy you. Score dove forward, his crimson blade colliding with Skywalker's azure lightsaber, the two men coming to a brief stalemate. You are a powerful Skywalker. You should come to the dark side. Score bewitched. Its power is infinite. Just think about how strict and outdated the GD have become. That's a nice word for a fool who willingly follows a Sith Lord bent on power. Skywalker shot back. Master Dooku seeks only the truth. Thor roared, his loyalty to the former GD master evident. As Score roared, Anakin hit him in the face with his head, and if the floor hadn't collapsed, he would have been slapped hard. Arriving at the dusk, Quicksilver saw R2 making a series of noises, sounding worried. Anakin told me and the kids to go first. Now, we need to activate the dusk and be ready to take off at a moment's notice, the Avengers said. Anakin leaped back into the hallway, followed by Score, and the two engaged in a fierce lightsaber duel, with Anakin mainly on the defensive. Score's attacks were wild, but also limited, because they were in the hallway. All around them, everything was falling apart, wires and debris strewn everywhere. On the dusk, the ship was ready, and Anakin anxiously muttered to himself, damn Anakin, how are you? Finally, the anxious Quicksilver rushed out of the dusk and returned to the laboratory. Anakin and Score were still fighting, both trying to gain the upper hand, but to no avail. The stalemate was broken until Skull found himself being violently repelled by a fast-moving blur. Anakin was taken away, leaving behind a confused Score, who was about to sink into the lava, realizing that he was now alone, and had to act fast. If he wanted to survive the descending test chamber, Anakin found himself on the dusk in an instant, feeling a little dazed. "Anakin," Petro said beside him, "come on, we have to go." "Oh, yeah, right." The dusk was launched into the air just in time, and the landing platform beneath it began to fall apart and slowly sank into the ground. On the craggy rocks, scattered around the collapsed laboratory, Skull stood and watched as a ship rose from the atmosphere and quickly left Mustafar. The former Jedi frowned, knowing that neither Count Dooku nor Sidious would accept this defeat easily. Chapter 145 Holy Land Jeddah. Ahsoka stands on a large gunship, with Spider-Man, Black Widow, Arla, Rex, Commander Bly and Team Domino. The city they were going to was a particularly large city, and even with the Force, it was difficult to track down the GD baby that the Sith was looking for. The good thing was that the Force told them that the child was still on the planet, but Arla was still extremely anxious at the moment. As for the Sith, whoever was sent to take this special child was either on his way to Jeddah or already there. Arla ordered, "Remember, our goal is to find and protect the child. We must be alert to any others the Sith may have sent here to capture this child. Bly, take Cameron, Flash, and Lucky, and have Black Widow accompany you, and search the southern part of the city." "Yes, General." Bly did as he was told. "Try to keep up, kids," Black Widow teased, already running off with the clones following behind her. "Captain Rex, divide your men into 2 groups and search the northern part of the city," Ella ordered, and Rex nodded. "Jess, Echo, and Troublemaker, you and I will be in the same team," Rex ordered. "Number 5, Stitch, Heavy, and Kix, go east. Keep in touch. I'll be our eyes in the sky," Spider-Man said, leaping into the air and swinging to the west. "Then we'll both go east," Arla said to Ahsoka, and the two parted ways, running towards their destination. Meanwhile, Black Widow was more cautious, telling Bly that she would hide in the crowd because their armor was too conspicuous. Ahsoka and Arla walked side by side on the crowded streets of Jeddah. "What's so special about this temple?" Ahsoka asked. "This was once a holy place for the GD, and it still is. Many GD have come when seeking spiritual guidance, and Jeddah is one of the prime planets for this mission. The people who live here have long been protected by the GD and those who follow our way of order and the Force." Ahsoka muttered in awe. "I didn't know this place held so much significance. Not only that, the Temple of Jeddah is also known as the Temple of Kyber. Is it related to the Kyber crystal?" "Yes." "Why is it called that?" "Of course, because this is a place where you can get Kyber crystals." "But I thought only Arling had the Kyber crystal," Ahsoka said doubtfully. "There are other places in the galaxy where you can get Kyber crystals. It's just that Jeddah is one of the main sources of it," Ayla said. Ahsoka nodded, and Arla continued. "Jeddah has long been a part of the Order, and many consider it one of the first worlds where the Force was studied more extensively, and oops, sorry, no, it was my fault," Ella said to the man she bumped into. He was a middle-aged man, probably in his 30s, wearing sunglasses and holding a cane in his hand. GD Flower Ayla could easily see that he was blind. "I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention," Ella said apologetically. "It's okay, it's too crowded today," said the blind man. "Sir, would you like some assistance?" Ahsoka offered. "No, I'm sure I'll be fine. Thank you anyway." Then the man walked away, leaving the two of them behind. "We found something." Black Widow's voice came over the communication. "There is a group of pirates here, and they are armed to the teeth." "Are you sure?" Ella asked. "Yes, General," Bly responded this time. "What do you think?" Ella asked the entire team. "We are here to ensure that a Force-sensitive baby is safe. This large group of pirates looks ready to fight and should be related to our mission." Cameron of the Flash team interrupted. The rest of the clones and Spider-Man agreed, and Arla nodded. Then she and Ahsoka turned and broke into a sprint, with Bly signaling their location. Bly, Flash, Cameron, Lucky and Black Widow watch the pirates from their hiding place. They are packing up, and then, who is that? They do look suspicious. Black Widow asked, pointing at two people in black robes. Let's see what they say. Bly said, where is the child? Ella asked as she ran. Should I go check it out? Spider-Man asked, dropping down in a blind spot where the pirates and the two newcomers couldn't see him. I could sneak in through the roof. That does sound like a good plan, Ahsoka said. Rex interjected, we are down there, kid. Spider-Man glanced down and saw Rex and his team of clones hiding in the alley. If you go in from the top, you could still be spotted. That suit of yours isn't completely invisible, Rex said. Yeah, it would be nice if they were all blind like Daredevil. I saw something. Clone Trooper Lucky spoke up, and then, I don't know what's being said between the pirates and the two black-robed men. Now the pirates are pointing their blasters at the two men, ready to fire. We made a deal with your Lord Dooku. One of the pirates sneered and shouted, now either you pay the full amount immediately, or you can forget about taking the child away. The two robed figures looked at each other, and one of them removed his hood, revealing a female face with horns. My Lord Dooku will not tolerate your treacherous behavior. You pirates should value your reputation very much, said the Zabrak woman. Then you can ask those stupid and old-fashioned guys to do it for you. It's a pity that the child is already in my hands. One of the Twi'leks shouted. Watch how you speak to us, the other masked figure said in a low hoarse voice. Suddenly, one of the pirates ran over and pulled off the tarp, revealing a blaster turret. He jumped on it, quickly unleashed his weapon, and began firing at the two men. The two men in black robes hurriedly dodged the attack of the blaster bombs. One of them ignited a green lightsaber, reflecting the incoming fire, and using the force to redirect the pirates' attack point. The clone was about to stop what was happening when the sound of boots stomping was heard. Looking around, they all found themselves surrounded by more pirates. You weak herders, you are surrounded, said a human pirate. Cameron said calmly, we are not here to cause trouble. We are only here for the children in your hands. There is no need to make a big fuss. One of the weak-way pirates said, you think we are 3-year-old children? I'm afraid that if we hand our children over to you, you will kill us when we least expect it. The clone was about to say something when an unfamiliar voice came. Let them go. The pirates surrounding the clones turned to a man walking towards them with a cane. What's going on with this guy? A pirate muttered to himself. Fight there, one of the pirates said, raising his blaster, but the man ignored him and continued forward. The force is with me. I'm with the force, for I fear nothing, the man said, for all is as the force wills. Let them pass unharmed, for their cause is one of the just causes you are hindering. Is he deaf? A weak-way pirate muttered. He must be blind. One of the human pirates added. The man continued to walk towards them, undeterred by the sound of the blaster gun. Stop, quack. A baton came out of nowhere and hit the pirate on the forehead, causing him to lie on the ground instantly. That was all the blind man needed, and he rushed forward, swinging his cane into the nearest pirate's face and stabbing another in the stomach. The remaining clones took the initiative to open fire on the pirates surrounding them, and soon the entire area became a battlefield. Chapter 146 Daredevil Matt Murdock. Go to cover, Bly ordered his men. As the clones ran for cover, the blind man tilted his head to the side, dodging the blaster bolts fired at him, and instead of retreating, he rushed to the pirate's side and delivered a series of blows to the pirate's head, neck, and chest, and finally an uppercut to the chin of the pirate who fired at him, directly incapacitating the pirate. After doing all this, he turned around and faced the other 6 pirates who were rushing towards him. From a distance, blaster fire hit a new batch of pirates. The clone looked towards the source and saw a bearded man in unique armor holding a sniper rifle. You almost shot me. You're welcome, shouted the sniper marksman. Not now, kids, a voice said from above. The clones looked up just in time to what they thought was Spider-Man swinging at them, but it turned out to be someone else entirely. At first, the clones thought they were dealing with a Devaronian, but this was proven to be false as they realized it was actually a man wearing a helmet with horns on it. Dressed in black and red robes, he asked, are you alright? Of course, you are, Bly said cautiously. These three people helped them in this situation, but they didn't know their true intentions, nor where they came from. I'm Zillet. This is Bates. We are the guardians of the Will Temple, the blind man said, and then introduced the third person. This is a friend we met recently. He has a talent for drama. Just then, the Avengers and Ahsoka arrived on the scene. Each of them looked at the various dead or unconscious pirates lying on the ground. Before he could say or do anything, Spider-Man swung in and landed nearby. Wow, what happened here? It's a common thing, Peter. The man in the horned helmet said calmly. You know what it is. As Spider-Man was about to speak, he saw an all too familiar face. Matt. The man turned and retracted his helmet to reveal a familiar face. Hey, Peter, Daredevil said with a smile. Wait. Ahsoka asked. You know him? Peter had made his way over to the superhero and immediately hugged him. Oh, man, glad to see you're okay, Matt, Spider-Man said in a relieved tone. Daredevil's mouth curled up, and he patted the Queen's boy on the back. Glad to know you're okay too, Daredevil said. Spider-Man then turned back to Ahsoka. Yes, this is Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, who joined the Avengers with me. Well, at least we don't have to wait that long for another wayward Avenger, Black Widow said as she walked over to the gathered crowd. Ah, the brilliant Natasha Romanoff, Daredevil said to Black Widow. Matt, we haven't seen each other for a few years. Haven't confused us. Wait, do you two know each other? Spider-Man askedly. We need to get there, one of the clone troopers said. All the pirates died there. Let's talk about it another day, Black Widow said, and continued running forward. The group raced back to the pirate base, arriving just in time to see Aayla Secura, the flower of the GD, defeat one of the pirates, while two other robed figures fought off several others. Bray, Rex, take your men, and protect this area, Ella shouted to them. The clones quickly dispersed, leaving only the two clearly hostile duos. Everyone, stand back, Ayla said, staring at the two men now approaching them. This is our fight. That sounds stupid, Black Widow expressed her opinion. Now, let the GD Knights perform their duties, said the blind monk Zulu. That sounds like an excuse, Spider-Man said. There's movement, Daredevil said, looking in one direction. Mechanical, tactical robots. We'll take care of the droids, Black Widow told the GD Knight. You two take care of them. As the clones and the Avengers deal with the upcoming threat, the two GD now face the mysterious duo. Ahsoka and Aayla stood together, facing the female Zabrak and the strange humanoid male. The man was almost covered in dark armor from head to toe, with only the lower half of his face exposed. The Zabrak held a green lightsaber, while the armored male held a red lightsaber. Cadian, Aayla said softly, recognizing the Zabrak before her. Have you fallen to the dark side? Do you really trust someone like Dooku? Dooku possesses more wisdom and knowledge than any of the old fogies on the governing council. Cadran sneered. Wait, she's a GD? Ahsoka asked in disbelief. Ah, a poor young Padawan, the armored man taunted. Brainwashed and a slave to a dying order. You. Aayla looked at the humanoid. You are not a GD. I have never considered myself a GD, the armored man said, raising his sword towards her. But I'm a man of principle. Bill Veron is my name. Remember it, for it will be the name of the man who kills you both. Wow, this is impossible, Ahsoka said, lighting her emerald lightsaber, and Aayla lit her azure lightsaber. The Force stood intense silence, the sound of blaster fire all around them as Veron moved first. He lunged at Ahsoka, and Aayla blocked the blade. All four fight each other, with Aayla fighting Cadian. Before Veron clashes with Ahsoka. Cadran fell to the ground, staring at Aayla, who stood calmly. She raised her lightsaber above her head, then slowly brought it back. Come on, Cadian, Aayla said softly. It's not too late. Return to the temple, and rejoin the enslaved fools. Cadran hissed. Don't even think about it. Cadian continued to attack, and Aayla deflected several attacks. As Ahsoka was about to help her friend, Bill rushed in. The Padawan was forced to give up on helping Aayla and focus most of his attention on Bill Wallen. She dodged several of Bill Wallen's lightsaber strikes and even blocked them, but the man proved to be incredibly strong and fast. Still, just a Padawan. You can join us, and I'll spare your life, Veron hissed in delight, the repeated blows causing Ahsoka to stumble back. Shut Up, you bastard, Ahsoka growled, gripping her lightsaber tightly as she blocked Varen's crimson blade. For someone so young, he's so angry and aggressive, Valen scoffed. Ahsoka gritted her teeth and fought Varen back, but she was soon kicked in the stomach and fell to the ground holding her stomach. Varen was ready to strike her down, but heard Caden yell in frustration. He saw that she had a hard time fighting against the Twi'lek GD, which showed that they were at a comparable skill level to each other. As Bill was about to help his companion, a man came in and turned to look at Varen, revealing his glassy eyes to Bill. Varen, the dark side, go away, blind man, said Armor Bill, or I'll kill you. You say I'm blind, but you are blind to the Force. The blind monk retorted calmly, looks like I have to kill you, Bill. Valen rushed at the blind monk, about to knock him down. The blind monk killer moved to the side effortless, avoiding the lightsaber attack. Don't hide, damn it. I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with me. The blind monk zealot swung his staff at Bill Valen. Bill didn't want to toy with the blind man anymore, so he pointed his lightsaber at the wooden part of the man's staff. Killode seemed to be knocked to the ground defenselessly. Haha. Without it, you're going to die. Your short-sightedness is obvious. It's worse than my own blindness, Killode said, holding out his hands. He held out his hands, and the metal parts of the cane moved for a split second. Bill Wallen, gloating over the misfortune, didn't notice it as metal parts flew into the blind man's hands. He brought the two pieces together and twisted them into place, igniting what appeared to be a lightsaber, the white blade ablaze. You. Valen was stunned. You are a GD Knight. I'm one with the Force, Zealot said, pointing his lightsaber at the arrogant Bill Varen. But I'm not a GD, Valen growled. GD or not, you are just a dead man in my eyes. Ah, what familiar words, Killode said. Varen simply answered him with a barrage of attacks, but the blind monk quickly dodged and deflected the red lightsaber. Varen hissed as he felt someone step on his foot. Is your foot okay? Zealot scoffed, pinching Bill's chin with his palm, causing him to stumble back. Varen growled, now choosing to make a large arching swing to put some distance between himself and Zealot. Killode took a few steps back, his ears facing Valen. You carry great anger and darkness in your heart, Killode said. Just shut up. I'm only speaking the truth. Something you refuse to listen to and accept. Valen just yelled and was about to throw a punch, but Zilla dodged and kicked Valen in the chest with a powerful kick. Arla was at a stalemate in her fight with Keaton, though she began to adapt to the Zabrak's fighting style. Keaton tried to overwhelm the Twi'lek GD with his fluid form shifting, but the flower of the GD lived up to her name. Seeing her arms open, Ella took the opportunity. Ella reached out with her free hand, grabbed Kadian's elbow, and using the technique Captain America had shown her, threw Kadian away. Kadran landed with a grunt and hurried to her feet. She groaned and tried to stand again, but felt that her hands were now empty. The lightsaber disappeared from her hand. She looked around desperately and found that the lightsaber was only a few meters away from her. Kadran released the Force to get the lightsaber, and Arla was doing the same. You don't deserve that lightsaber, Keaton, Arla said emphatically. Arla easily overwhelmed Kadran's connection to the Force and freed him from her telekinetic control. The lightsaber flew into the GD's hands. Kadran's fury was palpable. It was her lightsaber. Yet, that bitch Ayla had it hanging from her belt point. She turned around and saw that Varen was still standing, but his condition was not getting better. Although she didn't want to back down from a fight, Kadian knew she was now outmatched. She needed to escape, so she could fight again later with her other hand unnoticed. Kadian activated the transmitter on her body. Chapter 147 Baby Yoda. On the Avengers and clone side, they do a great job fending off the robot forces. How long can we hold them off? I haven't the slightest clue. We just have to wait for the GD to find the child. Unbeknownst to most of them, some of the droids ceased their actions, lights flickering in their optics. After returning to normal, they changed positions and snuck away in order to reunite with the acolytes. Caden was eventually tied up by Arla and then wheeled away by the GD. Arla noticed the blind Force wielder not far away. I'm surprised to see another GD here, Arla said. Are you just passing through here, or do you have another mission? Killard shook his head. I'm not a GD Knight. I'm just a loyal follower and practitioner of the Force. A follower of the Force? Arla asked curiously. How did you get a lightsaber? The Force led me to it. Zillet said wisely. You believe that only Jedi and Sith in the galaxy can use the Force. However, there are many more things than you know. Ella thoughtfully. Oops. Arla turned and saw Ahsoka running towards her, with the 501st right behind her. You're here, Ahsoka. Commando droids, Rex said angrily. Much stronger than the last ones we took out. It seems that they have become more powerful in many ways recently. Arla muttered to herself, her hand on the Keaton lightsaber. Hey, guys, Spider-Man lands next to them, with Black Widow, Baze, Daredevil, and the 327th joining them moments later. It looks like everything is settled, said the heavy burden loudly. When everything seems to be going well, another group of commando robots suddenly appear and ambush them all. Kadean smiled as her plan went well. They were distracted. The acolyte punched Ella in the face, then used the Force to push her and several others away. In the melee, Varen was able to free himself and escape with his partner not far away. The Avengers and the clones went after them, but the remaining droid team blocked their way. Give me a few minutes and I might. Don't chase me, Parker, Ella said after seeing a Separatist ship take off and quickly leave. Inside the ship, Varen was nursing his wounds. However, his partner was making contact with their master. A few minutes later, a holographic projection of Dooku appeared on the deck. The moment the projection appeared, two acolytes knelt before him. What do you have to report? Was the mission a success? No, Master, Valen said simply. Dooku narrowed his eyes. Explain. As you told us, everything was as you expected, the Zabrak acolyte said. The Jedi and their clones came to retrieve the child. Everything was as you expected, but, however, there is one man. A blind man who can use the Force, Master, Varen replied, and he is not a Jedi. The Count snorted, considering this information. Explain it to me in detail when you get back, planet Jeddah. So, what now? Number 5 asked loudly. The area is safe for now, Rex said, looking around the area. Daredevil kept his senses sharp. There are no hostile forces here, but inside. The clones, Jedi Knights and Avengers stand at the pirate base with 2 Jedi natives and the newly discovered Avengers. Walking in, some of the clones searched the area. They remembered seeing some pirates coming here before the battle started, and it was blocked off earlier. Further along, several pirates attempted to ambush them. However, they quickly surrendered under retaliatory fire. The Jedi and Avengers soon came in and began searching. So, what are we looking for? Spider-Man asked. A child, silly, Ahsoka said, poking him in the head. Check the room, Ella ordered, and she and Black Widow walked into a corridor. Daredevil tilted his head, looked around, and said, this way. The 2 teens shrugged and followed Daredevil down the hallway across from Ella and Black Widow. They checked each room, approaching a closed door, and Ahsoka paused as she reached for it. Spider-Man noticed she wasn't moving. Ahsoka? She didn't respond, and opened the door, to reveal the last pirate, who raised his blaster, but he was immediately wrapped in webs and quickly fell to the ground. Daredevil patted the New Yorker on the shoulder, and gave Spider-Man an appreciative smile. Ahsoka walked in first, with Spider-Man right behind her. They didn't find anything unusual in the room. It was just, what is that? Spider-Man pointed at a sphere floating in the air to examine the object. Ahsoka moved closer and pulled down the object that was floating in the air like a blanket. It wasn't long before the 2 teens' eyes slowly widened in disbelief. Ahsoka, do you see what I see? The child inside was seen pushing the blanket down with a 3-fingered green hand and staring at the 2 people in front of him. Have you ever seen Yoda's children before? I do not have. Okay then. The 2 continued to stare, not noticing Ella and Black Widow entering the room. Okay, you 2, just find. Ella stopped in her tracks, her eyes widening as she spotted her baby in the crib. Why yes, wow. The Widow began. Is that a baby? A baby? What's his name? Yoda? The name of his species? Spider-Man crouched down, so he was level with the Force-sensitive kid. Hey, little guy. Spider-Man said, this little guy is so cute. The Yoda-like child simply cooed adorably and grasped Spider-Man's outstretched finger. Ella looked back at everyone. Well done, all of you. Well done. Let's pack up and go home. Chapter 148 The Avengers Adopt Aliens. Back at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, the teams went their separate ways, with mixed results. In the council chamber, most of the Jedi were discussing what had happened on their respective missions. They were glad that the kidnapped children were safe and that the stolen holotrigon had been returned to the vault point, but I don't like that Bane was able to escape, Anakin pointed out. With him being on the loose, it's going to be more difficult when we run into him again, Plow said. I'm more concerned that 2 of our own men, who we presume are dead, have joined Dooku's camp, Windu said unhappily. Yes, Ayla said, very worriedly. Torskor and Cadence are very talented. But now, in this war, we have more people to worry about. What? About the 2 cubs we brought back? Ahsoka asked. What should we do? Where are they now? Windu asked. The Avengers are taking care of them, Anakin replied. Are you sure this is a good idea? Windu said, narrowing his eyes. I think we should leave them in the care of the Avengers now. Of all the people who had the guts to speak out, no one had expected Obi-Wan to say something like this. Master? Anakin was obviously stunned. Kenobi, Windu said sharply. What are you doing here? Obi-Wan lolled in his seat, exhaling wearily. Now Anakin took a moment to look at him. Now, the Avengers have discovered things about our order that I feel could damage our relationship, Kenobi said flatly, his eyes casting across the council. If we take children away from them and place them in our care, then we could end up ostracizing our new friends in a destructive way. Are you sure, Kenobi? Yoda asked. I'm absolutely certain, Master Yoda, Kenobi said firmly. Now, in the short time we have known them, they have done a lot for us. We must show them that there is a strong friendship between us, and letting them take care of the child temporarily is the best way to prove it. Yes, indeed, said Yoda. Stay alert. We must. In another part of the Jedi Temple, the Avengers are back with Captain America and Falcon, who are completing their own mission along with Obi-Wan and a Jedi named Quinlan Vos. So, I guess we've all been pretty busy these past few days, Falcon said, bandaging his arm. And you must be Matt Murdock. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Wilson. Matt is no longer wearing his Daredevil costume, but is instead seen as a civilian on much of Coruscant. Well, it's hard to really tell what a blind man's clothes look like, so where did you find him? Captain America asked. A faraway planet called Jedha, Black Widow said as she played with the little force-sensitive baby girl she had rescued earlier today. There, I met and befriended a pair of wayward guardians, Daredevil said. Guardian? What guardian? Spider-Man asked. They call themselves the Guardians of Will, or something like that. Where are they now? Chirrut is somewhere in the temple, most likely meditating. Daredevil said, managing to hear his new friend's heartbeat somewhere in the temple. Baze is undoubtedly playing pool with the clones right now. It seems like they're a good match, though. I'm not sure they'll be here for long, Daredevil said. Why do you think so? Captain America asked. They follow the whole Force thing, not the Jedi thing, Daredevil said. They feel like they'll end up where they're needed. Well, Chirrut leads the way and Baze just follows behind. So what's this little cuter's name? Black Widow said, staring down at the Force sensitive who was holding her red hair. From what the Jedi told us on the list she was kidnapped from, her name is Mara Jade, Quicksilver replied. Mara Jade, huh? Black Widow murmured softly, stroking the young babe's red hair. The baby gurgled with delight, making Black Widow giggle. And what about that baby Yoda? Wait, there's a baby Yoda? The Wasp asked confusedly. Yeah, he's cute, Spider-Man said cheekily, currently sleeping in the other room. Do you know the child's name? From what we've been told, the child was wiped clean, Black Widow said. No birth certificate, no paternity, no place of birth. How about we call it Wrinkles? Ant-Man made a strange suggestion. Scott, this is a baby Yoda, not Grandpa Yoda, War Machine said with a laugh. The conversation was suddenly interrupted by a soft cooing sound coming from the front door. All 9 Avengers that had gathered turned their heads towards the door to see Wrinkles stumble into the room, pausing to look at all of them. Ah, he's so cute. The wasp couldn't help it. She walked to Baby Yoda and helped him up from the ground. "Oh, look at those eyes," Ant-Man said. "They read just like Cass's when she was a kid." Captain America stood next to the wasp and raised his hand to shake it at the baby, and the little guy reached out to grab him. Baby Yoda was delighted to see all these new people interacting with him. "We'll have to ask Yoda more about his species later." Spider-Man noted their respective looks, so we can at least get some facts, like dietary restrictions and how old he is. They didn't even say how old the little guy was. Falcon asked. "Now, I think he's about 30 years old," Peter said. 30? Several Avengers exclaimed. "What the hell is that thing? 30? War Machine exclaimed. "Maybe. Because he's a different species, he ages differently." Spider-Man said, "Hey, Captain, didn't you say Thor was almost 1500 years old?" "That's what he told us," Black Widow said, smiling at Mera, who reached for her. "So we helped rescue a bunch of kids and ended up adopting 2 of them," War Machine said, looking at the 2 babies. "Since when are we a daycare?" No one responded. All they did was enjoy their time together, and then each told a story about what happened on their respective missions. "Alright, Avengers," Cap announced, "I think it's time for us all to take a break." Chapter 149, Transformation of Anakin Skywalker. "Tell me again, why we are doing this again?" "Because you're curious about having a newly upgraded robotic hand. That's why," Ant-Man replied. "No, I'm just curious about your Earth skills," Anakin responded, as he had no robotic hand on his right arm. "You two replaced my arm without my consent." Ant-Man looked at his sidekick Spider-Man, and they just shrugged. "Well, we are going to do this anyway." "For justice," Spider-Man exclaimed. "For science," the 2 technicians said in unison. Anakin rubbed the bridge of his nose with his free hand, wondering what kind of confusion this would bring. The sounds of metal grinding, bolts being tapped and screwed into place, sparks flying, and saws cutting filled the workspace. Skywalker wondered how long this whole process would take. After a long day, he wanted to get back in time for dinner with Padme. "We are coming." Anakin looked towards the 2 Avengers and saw a rolling cart covered with a large sheet. "Took a while to figure out what was right for you." Ant-Man began. The boy peeled back the cloth covering it, revealing a large spherical blue cylindrical object with a yellow meter on one side and a tapered barrel on the end. "I give you Super Booster. It looks like an arm cannon." "That's it." Ant-Man picked up the thing and quickly installed it on Anakin's remaining arm. "It fires energy beams. If it's charged long enough, it can cause devastating damage to your opponent." Anakin struggled to raise his arm. "How heavy is this?" Spider-Man and Ant-Man looked at each other and spoke in sync. "It's heavy." "Then I'd rather not have this attached to me." He used the Force to pry the super nemesis off his arm, a slight hiss leaving his mouth. Next, placing the super buster back on the cart, Ant-Man then revealed the next item. "I give you Crusher." Anakin quickly gave the imposter a blank stare. "It looks like a bunch of cooker and cutlery strung together. You wouldn't know if you were being attacked while you were eating, so this stuff is good." "True, but I'd look ridiculous if I attached it to me." Next, "But aren't you going to try it on?" Ant-Man suggested. It was obvious that Anakin strongly disagreed. Okay. The fabric was pulled over again, revealing a white prosthetic hand with gold trimmings on the wrist area of the forearm. "He looks interesting." Anakin used the Force to pull the object closer. Skywalker secured it to his stubby right arm and placed his fleshy hand on its surface. "Seems good so far, but why does the hand feel like rubber?" "I don't know," Spider-Man replied. "Scott did it to achieve his purpose, and that purpose is, it should be used for massage. Sends out vibrations, so it can help relieve pain in certain areas, like a person's shoulder or leg." Anakin stared at the prosthetic hand for a moment longer. It felt odd, especially after turning on the aforementioned function point. The Jedi placed the vibrating prosthetic hand on his shoulder. "It feels good, though. Maybe I can use it on Padme one day. She's been pretty stressed lately. She might like it." Ant-Man dramatically says. "Oh, Anakin, you have no idea how much she's going to love it." Anakin removed the oddly named Sweet Surrender from his body and looked at the last prosthetic on display. It's a bit thicker than a normal robotic prosthesis because it has thicker armor. There's a circular indentation in the center of its palm. What is this? Scott looked back and saw the special model in Anakin's hand. Oh, that's the repulsor. Repulsor. The name doesn't matter. It's just a code name. Spider-Man said, fiddling with Anakin's normal mechanical hand. It should be like the repulsor hand in the Iron Man and War Machine armors. Really? It didn't take long for Anakin to quickly attach the final prosthetic to his stubby arm. That might take some getting used to, the GD pointed out. Are you sure this can't be more refined? It's possible, but for now you'll have to get used to the bulky size. Anakin nodded, then looked at the palm of the mechanical hand. So, what do I do? Point, aim, focus, and shoot. Ant-Man said simply, this is what Rhodes told me. Anakin nodded and aimed elsewhere, his repulsor suddenly coming alive as he focused. Oh, be careful. The first time you kick a ball you're always Ant-Man and Spider-Man both saw Anakin fly from his position across the room and crash headfirst into the far wall. The GD let out a low groan as he slowly slid down the wall and soon fell to the floor. Ah. You okay, Anakin? I'm fine, Peter. Skywalker pried the prosthetic arm off and tossed it aside. I think we should lower the output power, Ant-Man muttered. Okay, let's try it. No, Anakin said loudly. I will not try again. Oh, come on Anakin, don't you want to do something cool with your arms? Spider-Man said. It's cool. I like my robotic arm. It's gold underneath and custom made, Anakin argued. But can it shoot a giant laser that instantly blows the enemy away? Ant-Man asked with a grin. Yeah, it's tempting, but I'll get through it. Spider-Man sighed. Well, I don't want to do this, but Anakin please take a look at this. Anakin watched in confusion as Spider-Man held out his earthly device in what looked like some sort of exaggerated cartoon. In said cartoon, he saw a boy transform his arm into an actual cannon and fire a massive energy beam that destroyed everything in its path. Now, tell me, Spider-Man said in a teacher-like manner, do you want your hands to be dull and boring? Or do you want your hands to do this? Peter, are you a fool or something? Anakin asked back. Of course I want an arm like this. Pick up that mechanical arm and let's try again. The two Avengers quickly got to work, vowing to do exactly what Anakin had requested. Okay, we've got a shock absorber on your arm that will take the recoil, Spider-Man said. Now aim at that target and destroy it. Standing behind the GD, Ant-Man and Spider-Man watched as Anakin got into position, raised his new arm, and began to hum with energy. A few meters away was the target they had set for Anakin. The energy in the arm continued to gather until, the three stared with open mouths at the huge new hole Anakin had made. I think we went too far. Chapter 150 Quinlan Voss. What happened? Obi-Wan, Cap and Kenobi were pulled aside from their earlier conversation with the Avengers and stood in the hallway outside of the Earth team's room in the temple. I need your help with something, Kenobi said. Do you remember the situation surrounding the Senate hostage situation a few weeks ago? Yeah, the blue skin bounty hunter who's holding the senator hostage to Freya, some criminal gangster named Hut, is the name of the species Zero belongs to, Obi-Wan explained. He is a criminal who nearly ruined our chances of forming an alliance with the Hut cartel. The Hut cartel? Captain America said suspiciously. I admit that I personally don't like working with such a criminal organization, but yes, the GD Council has assigned me along with another GD Knight and his strike team to hunt down Zero and arrest him, Kenobi said. Commando? Cap repeated. He had heard so much about their skills and prowess from the other clone troopers he knew. Is it that serious? Zero has been elusive, but he is certainly difficult to track, Obi-Wan said firmly. As a Hutt who has poor relations with other clans, Zero is also a target of many other criminal organizations. We may encounter other bounty hunters who hope to hunt Zero, so why is it so important to the Republic to capture him? Captain America asked. He is a criminal who once held Senator Amidala captive and nearly caused a serious conflict between the Republic and the Hutt cartel, Kenobi said calmly. Captain America muttered to himself, thinking about what Obi-Wan had said on the matter. Just one question, Kenobi. Oh, why did you come to me? This seems like a mission that could be accomplished with another GD and the commando that will accompany you. Why do you need more help? Kenobi sighed. Honestly, Rogers, the past few conflicts have become pretty maddening in terms of scale and so on. The Force has been in a state of constant and frantic flux, and Master Yoda himself has indicated that this mission I'm on features new threats of darkness that he senses, and told me to prepare accordingly. What better way to do that than to ask the unpredictable element outside of the Force? The next day, Cap walked toward the docking platform accompanied by Falcon, both Avengers ready and prepared for the mission. So, let me get this straight. Falcon began. We are going to help Kenobi find an ugly slug who is a wanted criminal of the Republic. Pretty much, yes. Steve, you're here. They both looked behind them and saw Ayla Secura jogging after them. Hey, Captain America said happily. Do you need us to do something? Not exactly. Ayla shook her head and looked at Captain America. I heard you were going on a mission with Master Kenobi. Yeah, him and another GD with commandos. That's right. I recently discovered that this GD Knight was my former master. Ayla said. Really? Captain America asked curiously. He is your teacher? Indeed. He trained me to be a GD Knight. He was the one who found me, saved me, and brought me to the temple when I was very young. The mood between the two Avengers shifted at the mention of temple and young. That didn't go unnoticed by Ayla. He saved me, she whispered. He, Master Torm, and Master Thad are the reason I have a better life here. If I had been left on that planet, I would probably not know where I would have been sold to. This caused both Avengers to look at her sharply, and Falcon's features tensed slightly. You are a slave? Ayla nodded. Pretty much. Many of the people in the temple were likely slaves, or had been slaves. The GD Order saved them from that life. Captain America and Falcon looked at each other and pondered these words, and the three continued to walk towards their destination point. Soon they saw Obi-Wan waiting with his back to them, his arms crossed, and a hand stroking his beard, seemingly lost in thought. Obi-Wan, Captain America called to him, and the GD turned around to see the three of them walking towards him. Ah, Steve, Sam. So glad you're joining me, Kenobi greeted. Ayla, this is a surprise. Are you joining us as well? Here to help oversee your former master? If only I could do that. Master Kenobi, Ayla said with a mischievous smile. No, I'm only here to tell him to stay focused and not have any rash thoughts. Well, my hope has come. Kenobi said whimsically. You seem troubled, Cap said with a confused smile. Obi-Wan sighed. Yes, Quinlan Vos has this powerful ability. How could this be? He has a certain reputation, but pointed dropship flew past from the west at a very fast speed. When it approached, the door of the hangar opened quickly, and a man jumped out and rushed towards them with a happy smile on his face. Hello, Kenobi. It's been a while. You look worse for wear. How's life in the temple? Ayla, you look like a better GD. Kenobi simply glared at the man expressionlessly, while Ayla simply smiled silently. Nice to meet you too. The Avengers looked at the new guy, Quinlan Vos. He had dark braids, dark skin, and a yellow stripe on his nose. His armor was a mix of yellow and black. Well, that's your opinion, man. Falcon's sudden voice startled Captain America, Ella and even Vos. Wow, are you okay? Vos asked, frowning at the pilot. Falcon held up his hands in a reassuring gesture. It's nothing, trust me. It's just, well, this guy is just hilarious. Exactly, Vos said. Wait, who are you two? Vos, this is Captain Steve Rogers and Lieutenant Sam Wilson. Kenobi introduced the two to the GD Master. They are Avengers. Yes, I've heard a lot about you guys. Vos nodded in agreement. Ayla mentioned you guys, as did Master Torm. It's a pleasure to work with you. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.